Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is the week in review. Now, it's going to be a bit different this week, guys, because we're on SmackDown. We're mainly recap shows this week, and we did in the Discord with everybody watch World's End, and that got done a little bit ago, like around midnight. What this is really going to be is a World's End review and just touching on NXT this week. Why we're going live at 12:30, I personally requested it so that I could watch all the clips available on WWE's YouTube channel for NXT. I did because I didn't want to shortchange either part of the commentary. And then after this, guys, it's full speed ahead to year-end awards tomorrow night at 8, which is going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, I mean, look, guys, I'm gonna be truthful. I want to thank Javaris. He really wanted my company for World's End. He's like, this will be the last time this year that all of us can get together, for 2023. Let's all watch the show together. I said sure, but I'm never gonna lie how I feel about AEW. If I was to put a grade to this pay-per-view, I would only give it a 7, and that's carried strongly by the main event and the post-match. I'm very happy for Samoa Joe. I will say immediately, congratulations to Samoa Joe, new AEW World Champion. Dude is one of the best in the industry, a real locker room leader. All of his shit from promos to in-ring is fucking tight. And, the whole thing with the Devil in that storyline, well, I still think it's been a bit drawn out. I like the note that it ended on here for World's End. So I really feel like the main event segment in its entirety really carried this pay-per-view for me. There were some things that made me just fucking so angry and just roll my eyes. So yeah, ultimately I do think I'll come down with a 7 out of 10 for this show. And with NXT, I've got some thoughts on that as well from what I saw, but let's not put the cart before the horse here. Partner, since I didn't really hear you talk much during our big Discord call for obvious reasons, I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts. So, to begin with World's End, what would be the number grade that you would put to this?
Um, hmm. I think I can't go higher than a 7.
Yeah, okay.
I'm debating whether I want to stick to a 7 or if I want to come down to like a 6.5. But I think just to kind of subvert TwitWoW expectations, I will go with just right in line with you and call it a 7.
All right.
If I
So
really focus hard on the things I liked on this show, I can get up to an 8. But when I really think about everything as a whole, I just can't go above a 7.
yeah, dude, believe me, I'm right there with you. There might be times I might be overly harsh on this show. There were just some things that like my fucking rage, dude. But with all that being said, do you have any preliminary remarks you want to make before we dive formally into the card? Because again, I didn't really get to hear you at all
Yeah,
tonight, so I want you to have
no,
all the
we can
room
just get
possible.
into it, man. I don't want to say anything extra beforehand, and we'll just talk about stuff as it happens as we talk about it.
Sure. Then what do you want to talk about? I guess we'll just go in card order, right? And the
Yeah, we'll
first
talk
match
about the
was.
pre-show. Um,
Oh yeah, see, I didn't even see the pre-show, but I think it was what Yuta versus
no,
Hook.
in order
Right.
we'll go. Willow Nightingale beat Chris Statlander.
Okay, again, I did not see any of the pre-show, so no thoughts on that.
This match was solid. It was pretty good, and then there was like a botched sequence that was really bad, and then the finish looked cool as hell.
Nice.
So like there was like a sort of like a sequence where I think Willow was supposed to hit the Doctor Bomb, which is her finisher. It's basically like just like a gut wrench power bomb, but it looks really cool when she hits it most of the time. I think there was either miscommunication or something where she couldn't get Statlander up for it, and it looked really bad. And commentary tried to make it sound like Statlander reversed it into a leg drop, which obviously wasn't meant to be that. They just fucked up. And it was a 2 count. And then Willow did a proper Doctor Bomb, and it looked great. And that was the end of the match. So like the lead up to what was supposed to be the finish looked terrible, but then the actual finish looked great.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Statlander, I
interesting.
mean, I really like Statlander. I like both of these women, but this match kind of brought me back around to being like, damn, Statlander is really fucking good. I really like her.
Yeah, dude, Statlander's awesome. There's no doubt about that.
To this day, I don't understand why they had Julia Hart beat her, especially fucking clean.
Yeah. I mean, I like Julia Hart too, but I can agree with you on that.
All right. Next pre-show match was Kill Switch winning the 20-man battle royale for a future AEW TNT Championship match. And it's kind of funny because while I was in a call with the boys on Wednesday for Dynamite, I basically came out and said, "Oh wow, so they're doing like a Money in the Bank battle royale because that's basically what this is. It's basically a battle royale for a contract that you can cash in at any time you want for the TNT title." And we saw that in action later in the night, and that was glorious.
Yes, yes, and we did. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and then after that,
Hook beat Wheeler Yuta by submission to retain the FTW title.
all right, all right. But isn't Yuta still the ROH Pure Champion? So I wonder if Hook will go after that now.
That'd be cool. I'd enjoy that. That sounds really cool, actually. I hope you're right.
Yeah, so interesting results here. But then we get to the main show right after this.
Yeah, we get to the main show, and they opened with a match that I really didn't give a fuck about, and they proved me right because the match was pretty fucking boring, and I didn't give a shit about it. So
Yeah, my heart kind of sank seeing fucking Danielson and Jay White in the fucking opener. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like
yeah,
learn how to use your assets. Jesus.
yeah, and not only that too, but like Jay Lethal, like don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Jay Lethal fan. I think he's pretty decent, but like I would call him like a 7.5 out of 10 talent personally. I don't think he's incredible, but I don't think he's like a shitter or anything. He's a good talent. And like he didn't win a single match in the Continental Classic and he ate the pin in this match to fucking Daniel Garcia. Like what?
And I'm not even saying it's about this, but when you've got a lot of flack on your company for how you treat black wrestlers and women, and like the black guy gets a goose egg in the tournament and he gets a pin at like and Swerve, because I saw your message in the Discord, may potentially have gotten hoed again as far as the world title scene, given the shakeup in that. Like, what are we doing, Anthony? What are we doing? Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, Garcia's a fucking goof. I really don't care for him. Is he still PWG champion, I wonder? Yeah, I'm
Oh my
curious.
god, that's a really good question. Let me look up the PWG World Title.
But you know what though? I think the person that like runs PWG, Super Dragon or whatever, like his girlfriend he said recently had cancer, and I have no idea.
Oh,
Like I don't think they've posted any updates since. I don't even know if there have been any PWG shows. So he might still be the champion just because they've obviously hit a
yeah.
snag that's very
Okay,
important. So
so yes, Garcia is still the champion, but the most recent PWG show was in August.
yeah, see, and that's because of Super Dragon's whole misfortune, which I hope that's gotten better. But again, I have not heard anything since. So,
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say
that
about
was
that.
actually only the third show that they've had this year. Second, if you count Bola shows as like all as one show, because it's Bola.
Yes. Uh, so what came after this match, bud?
Then we get to our first really good match of the night: Miro versus Andrade. Versus for it wasn't really for anything, but CJ was at ringside, so it was kind of like for her heart, kind of, I guess, maybe. I don't even know.
Dude, you know what? Again, I've been wanting to hear you talk all night. So what did you think about this match?
Well, you're going to be disappointed because I was paying less attention to this match than I should have. I actually should probably go back and watch it again. I did see that CJ basically betrayed Andrade here, and Andrade's face acting, looking like he just lost his best friend, was incredible. And I just honestly hope that if he is coming back to WWE, and especially if it's going to happen as soon as the dirt sheets are saying it is now, I want him to get pushed to the fucking moon.
Um, do you mind if I have the floor then?
Yeah,
Just about
go
this.
for it.
Um, because I agree with you 1,000% is where I want to start off and then just build off on that point. I'm gonna be a bit more forceful here than I probably should be. I'm really getting sick and tired of the fucking games when it comes to this dude's career. This is a main event fucking prospect. Let's stop dicking around and let's give him that fucking push. I don't care where, I don't care when. It needs to fucking happen. Look, to me, if he goes back to WWE, right, to me, the ground is ripe. Now, as I mentioned in the call, and there were a lot of people that agreed and a lot of people throwing names out, and that's why I'm glad just you and I now we could just have a very clean discussion about this. The line is a bit longer for the Raw World title. I think about Gunther when he drops the IC title, Sami Zayn, Drew, etc., etc., etc. But I feel like that Raw World title is perfect for him because let's all be real. it's a world title, but it's also a consolation prize because Roman has had a fucking chokehold on that Universal WWE Championship for over 3 fucking years. Andrade is never gonna be, and it's a shame because I feel like there was a time that maybe he could have been, because I love the dude's look and I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world in ring, but he's never gonna be the fucking guy in WWE. That's why the Raw World Title exists. And that's not even a diss to Seth, because I think Seth has had a great last couple of years. I think Andrade can wear that belt and wear it magnificently if he's going there. And I'm inclined to agree with you that I do agree with the dirt sheets. I do think that's all happening. As far as this match to kind of work backwards, match was fine. I mean, Andrade's so fucking good in the ring. I really appreciated Miro selling on the leg because you could tell from the dragon screw that Andrade got in the ropes at one point in the match, Miro looked like he was in agony. He looked like he was actually crying, which I like that because then when Andrade gets the figure four, I don't really know if he fully got the bridge for the figure eight, at least from what I
It looked
remember.
like he did to me.
I think he got like a smaller bridge because Miro is a bigger guy. But point being, you know, it made CJ's betrayal actually have a bit of weight to it to me because I think Miro genuinely needed it, and
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
And again, that's
And it
because
also might
of his
be that
selling.
like that might have even influenced her. Like her seeing her husband in that much agony might have influenced her to help him in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, and I just really appreciated both guys because I'll tell you one big thing that I would have loved to have just scrawled in big letters on a notebook if I was to like lose my voice from shouting to give a review would be remember what selling fucking is. And I think these two guys did. And I think it made it one of the better matches on the card. So but then dude, we also got to talk about the issue and we can bring you back into the fold here because this is more of a general open question. How do you feel about Miro and CJ being back together? Because like I don't mean to be like dismissive of it, but I thought that they would both want to do something new. Do you feel like this is a regression for them, or do you think that it just works and not to overthink it? Because they're obviously they're
So
together,
just
the
to be
chemistry's
clear
there.
about this,
Yeah,
from the moment CJ showed up in AEW, I was against it because Miro doesn't need a mouthpiece anymore.
yeah,
I don't know if he ever really did, but even if there was a point that like maybe he was still trying to perfect English, he was not as confident on the mic, whatever. He doesn't have those problems anymore. He is fucking excellent on the mic nowadays. He does not need someone talking for him. He does not need a manager. He does not need a valet. And her being here, just for what reason? It literally just feels like she's here because she's his wife and that's it. And that's literally what she was trying to avoid. Like she literally said in one of her earliest promos, maybe even in her first promo, I don't know, that she isn't here to be Miro's wife. She is here to do her own work. And yet now we're back to square one. She's back to being Miro's wife again.
yeah, dude. I just agree with you completely. And if anything, I'm glad you said what you did about Miro because if anything, this is more of a regression for him because I actually found the Redeemer character to be fascinating. And maybe this is my ignorance because I'm not tapped into the AEW product at all. But just from what I saw, which again wasn't as much relative to other people that watch it consistently, I feel like there was a lot left, unexplored about the Redeemer character. I feel like that's a character that, again, I wish a promotion like Lucha Underground was still around. And I'm not talking about that MLW ripoff bullshit that could really give these characters hefty backstories and really explore their layers and the psychology of them. Because this old dude that's got this religious overtone, as Miro did with the whole redeemer, and oh, you've been redeemed, but you get redeemed through suffering. Like, there's just this whole like fascinating component of that to me. I don't know. Maybe it's my philosophy brain, but I'm like, you could do so much with this. You can really make it a narrative. And I don't know, now he just feels like he's still really good, but he just feels like another, like, monster type wrestler, and we've already got Hobbs, and we've got Big Bill, and, like, how do you
Brian
stand out?
Cage.
Brian Cage. So, like, Miro's really good. I love the dude. In fact, guys, I would even recommend the best thing that AEW does, and I've plugged this before. Hey EW with RJ City. I enjoy that series. Miro did a great episode with him, and in fact, it was one of the better ones because he treated it like a genuine interview, but was still able to be funny, which to me is remarkable. Go and watch his episode on it if you haven't. He is such a good dude. I like him a lot, but now the challenge for him, since he's paired up with CJ again, is how do I make myself distinctive from all the other beefy boys in the locker room? I think he can do it, but will
Because
AEW let
he's
him do it? That's the
fucking
question.
poetic. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
No other
Um,
beefy boys can get their Hank McCoy on. All right.
there you go. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, and I'm just hoping AEW continues to let him do that because that's the one thing that just leaves me scratching my head. You've got these guys that could be like a main event tier, like Andrade's walking out the door, and I'm sorry, AEW blew it. Like I don't understand how this dude keeps getting fumbled by fucking companies. Miro is
Well,
right
if you
there.
ask Maxwell,
Yeah, oh god. Um, Miro's right there. I don't understand why Malachi isn't a bigger singles guy and he's still just doing trios and shit. Maybe that's his personal choice. I don't know if he's like, what's going on there. Maybe there's more to it. There probably is. But, God, like you could have such a much more compelling main event scene and it's just so mid to me. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about that. We can move on to the next matchup.
the next matchup, which was timeless Tony Storm versus Riho, which was a solid match. I've seen better Riho matches. I've probably seen better Tony Storm. Actually, no, I've definitely seen better Tony Storm matches. So they've both had better matches against other opponents. And I gotta say, this is sort of one of those instances where you can just really tell how much less Tony Khan gives a shit about his women than he does about his men, because there was just no storyline development here at all whatsoever. Literally, the only thing that happened after the match was Mariah May came out and threw rose petals around Tony, and she rolled around in them, and that's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, the match was pretty like meh to me. Not that it was like
Mariah didn't
trash or
even
anything.
play into
Yeah.
the finish of the match. That's just like,
That surprised me.
yeah,
Like,
like,
yeah.
does Tony not like grasp the concept that this is supposed to be another world championship? Because if he booked his women's world title in any way similarly to the way that he books his men's world title, there would be ref bumps in every fucking match.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not even kidding. Cause yeah, dude, like, cause that to me is what makes it so narratively sloppy. Because anybody and this is why I actually, and I'm being totally sincere here, because I know with AEW I can take the piss literally out of everything. But I genuinely feel bad for people that like follow the product consistently. Because if you have been, or even if you've been like me to watch it enough to be competent in the storylines you're watching unfold for World's End, you know that Mariah's been following Tony around the whole thing as I'm your biggest fan. Like, I love you. She did the belt shot to Riho very recently, to help Tony send a message before World's End. And then in the match, okay, so you're following all this, right? You've got all the pieces. The World's End, Luther gets ejected at one point. So then Wrestling 101 says, oh, Mariah's going to
Mariah's
come
gonna
out and
help
help.
Tony win, or at least play into the finish, but no.
God, dude, like, this promotion makes me feel so old and not even in a good way because I'm like, does Wrestling 101, like, do the fundamentals not even matter anymore? Because, like, sometimes
Dude,
they're
you know what
fundamentals
though?
for
I
a
have to
reason.
stop you there because this isn't Wrestling 101. This is storytelling 101. They
Yeah,
they set up Chekhov's gun and they didn't pay it off. That is like a mortal sin of storytelling.
yeah, yeah. Again, not a bad match. I don't want to, like, take it out unnecessarily on either woman because Riho's always great. And even
Well,
though I do not like Tony personally, she's solid.
yeah, like the
But
match
yeah,
was fine, but the problem with the match has nothing to do with either of the participants in the match. It's the way that the match was, the story that was told by the person writing the story, which is Tony fucking Khan.
yeah. Dude does not know what the fuck he's doing, and he needs to be sternly told, "You do not know what the fuck you're doing." But of course, with his wealth and everything else, he's insulated from that kind of criticism. He's insulated from it really reaching him and penetrating his mind and being like, "Oh, maybe I don't know, I should suck less." And that's really a shame because Mariah only coming out at the end, like I know they're still going to use her, but it's stuff like this, dude. And I know I'm heavily biased, where I'm like, God, I wish she was still in Stardom doing stuff with Mina
Yep.
because it just makes me
It would
worried.
be better for her and it would be better for Stardom. The Stardom product would be more interesting and Mariah would be doing more interesting things. End of the, at the end of the day.
You know what's amazing? The only title she held in Stardom was the Goddesses with Mina. But the way Stardom presented her, especially her beating Mina in the 5-star,
Yeah.
she felt more like a big deal and like she was main event ready. And I get it. She just got to AEW, so it's not like I'm rushing them. But if you're not even having her play into the finish, how seriously do you want me to take her, Tony? Because Stardom clearly told me, oh yeah, she can be a Gaijin Ace. She can be Priestley and more. But what the fuck are you telling me about her? Because right now it's not much. So we'll have to see.
I will also say Mariah. It's not like she's only been there for a couple weeks. She's been there for. We're going on 2 months at this point.
Yeah.
Her first like it was announced that she signed November 8th. So from November 8th until now, let's see. So that's one. November 8th was her. They announced that she was signed, and since then there have been, including the November 8th episode. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes of Dynamite. She hasn't even wrestled a match yet. She has her first match on this coming episode, and we've been speculating that it's going to be against Riho. Now I'm at the point that I hope it's not, because I feel like if it was, Riho would just fucking beat her to get a win back because she just lost to Tony.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's uh, it's somehow even worse than the way that they did Jamie Hayter at first.
Yeah, dude. I'm really worried about her. I'm not trying to be paranoid or jumping the gun, but like, how do you not have her playing to the finish? I don't get it. Um, if there's anything else you want to say, I'm good because I think I'll just get redundant at this point. So we can move on to the next match.
Bro, I just read on Mariah's Wikipedia page that apparently in October of 2022, she traveled to Pakistan where she was part of a media tour promoting Ring of Pakistan and visited survivors of the 2022 Pakistan floods.
Oh wow. Holy shit. Damn. I had no idea.
Gorgeous, talented, and a saint? What the fuck?
Yeah, don't fuck this up, Anthony. I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Bro,
I know. I know.
don't
I know.
chirp and eat crackers, Polly.
Oh no. Wow. All right. Next matchup.
We get to talk about the first thing that you really hated on the show.
And because I really hated it, I want to be good and I want to be fair. Please talk first, because again, you really
I
didn't get
feel
to
like
talk
that's
much
not
tonight.
fair because I hated it too, but you're the one who has the planned rant. And if you let me talk first, I'm going to steal your thunder, and I don't want to do that. So I just want you to go first.
I'm just gonna reiterate what I said on the Discord, and Javaris agreed with me, and welcome Javaris to the chat. And I also want to welcome Super Blue and Abel, before we get any deeper into this, because the chat's starting to pad out now. This match was the perfect microcosm of everything I fucking hate about pro wrestling.
By the way, for those of you
Um,
that don't know, we're talking about Swerve Strickland versus Dustin Rhodes.
yeah, just to put an emphatic point on
And for
that.
those that are really under a rock, the reason this is not Swerve versus Keith Lee is because Keith Lee has been working hurt since September of 2022, and apparently it's been worse since Final Battle, ROH Final Battle, his match with Shane Taylor, and he tweeted that today. And a little bit after he tweeted it, Tony Khan tweeted, "Oh, hey everyone, Keith Lee's injured, and we're replacing him with Dustin Rhodes."
I we could have a whole side discussion about the career of Keith Lee the last couple of years, because my heart breaks for that fucking dude. But that'll be for another time. I hated this fucking match. Honestly, only because Swerve won, I think it's gonna just stay off even being an honorable mention for my worst match of the year before our year-end awards tomorrow at 8. Just wanted to plug the product as well there. But God, this was so fucking bad. Selfish fucking veterans that still want to get themselves over. And I'm sorry, it was incredibly selfish of Dustin, because if he really cared about this fucking business, he would say, "Oh man, Swerve's really hot right now. Why not just have him take me out? Just take me out." And
Yeah,
then he gets heat.
he can
Or
get
maybe,
he can get the credibility for being the guy that retired Dustin Rhodes.
exactly. Exactly. Like, just have him be the one. You guys know I'm retiring anyway. Have him, brag about the fact that he took away my, free will to be able to retire on my own terms. Like, he forced me into retirement before I was ready. And give him that heat or that jubilation, because the crowd apparently was still behind Swerve beating the fuck out of Dustin, which I credit the crowd for that. In fact, low key, I will say this about AEW: crowd low key had their MVP moments, because between standing behind Swerve and apparently how they rained hell down on Chris Jericho after what came out today,
Yeah.
like, Good for that crowd,
Yeah.
honestly. But no, this so he does the stomp with the cinder block on the leg. Cool. He's fucking taking it and look, okay? This is another problem I have with pro wrestling because I didn't think about this until now. For one thing, obviously the selling, because Dustin a few minutes later, like you wouldn't even know that his leg was the victim of a cinder block because he's moving on it and he's doing all this stuff. The other thing is, you need to start getting guys again that can call a match in the fucking ring. Because when you have something so choreographed and so pre-planned, you said it perfectly, Ashton, in the Discord, and I was going to say it if you didn't. So that's when I said you took the words out of my mouth when we were all watching it together. This was the match that Swerve was meant to have with Keith Lee. Now, that makes sense in that context because Keith Lee's a big fucking dude. As I said in the Discord, he's a mammoth of a man. So if you take the leg out and he's having this spirited contest fighting on one leg and he's still doing some of this power offense, it's believable because it's Keith fucking Lee. He's limitless, right? That's the whole thing. This is a washed up old fucking dude and like, oh god, it should have just been over right there. But because you don't call shit in the ring or because you're so stubborn that like, no, this was the plan, let's just stick with it. It's
Yeah,
easier.
no,
I don't
dude.
care how
Honestly,
sudden the
I
change
don't
was.
blame that on the workers in this case. I blame it on Tony Khan, and I don't blame it on not being able to call it in the ring. I blame it on Tony Khan being unable to adapt and being unable to basically audible. Like once he has his plans, he will not move off of those plans. Like how many times have we seen that he has a storyline in place for somebody to take the title off of a champion, and then the person that he wanted to take the title off of the champion gets hurt. So he just has the champion hold the title and spin their wheels for the months that it takes for the person that he wants to take the title off of them to recover. And then as soon as they're back, they win the title.
Yeah, exactly. And like he needs to be, like you said, that adaptability, that flexibility, and not be so insistent of we had this plan, let's just shoehorn this person into it, even though they are
It's
completely incongruent to the plan that I had.
it's kind of funny
Like,
because I literally just said this to Javaris because he was talking about the like CWC, the Cruiserweight Classic that he was doing. That's more like a middleweight classic.
yeah.
Um, Basically talking about how many guys he has that are injured. The number one most important trait for a good booker to have is adaptability. It's the ability to make plans to change. Actually, I think what I actually said to him was you shouldn't book people as individuals. You should book people as roles. So like this mid card baby face beats this mid card heel. You shouldn't think of it as Keith Lee beats Swerve. You should think of it as upper mid card babyface beats upper mid card heel because then if shit does change, it's easier to slot guys in. And Dustin Rhodes is nowhere near on the same level as Keith Lee. And frankly, in this case, you had to adapt even further because if you're gonna make it Dustin Rhodes, and I admit that even works storyline wise, but there were mistakes going further back because Keith Lee shouldn't have been wrestling this whole time if he's been working injured. But if you're going to use Dustin Rhodes, which fits storyline wise because for some reason they've decided to make him Keith Lee's new best friend in kayfabe, and he wants to defend Keith's honor, this needed to be a squash match, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it went on way too long. And here's the thing, I love Swerve, and I'm happy he won. But I even hated the point where Dustin gets the well, the pile driver. Actually, no, it was the Shattered Dreams. Then the pile driver, which by the way, he did a flip pile driver on one fucking leg after it got crushed under the cinder block. That
Yeah,
was, I
as
mean,
if that move doesn't kill your suspension of disbelief enough. Now you've got an old fucking 50-year-old something dude doing it off of 1 foot. Fuck you
exactly.
all.
Yeah, dude, abso-fucking-lutely. So then he gets like a traditional pile driver after the Shattered Dreams, and then a Crossroads. And like again, love Swerve, happy he won, but I'm like, that should be a finish. There were so many times I said that in my head with so many matches on this fucking show. That should be a finish. And he kicks out. And I hate it. I hate it so much. And then Swerve does get the win, which he deserved to, but he got it like way too late. Like the match went way too fucking long. And I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, nobody knows how to sell anymore. There's like no
You know
fucking
what could
story
have
here
been
that's
cool
compelling to
here?
me. What would have been cool here to you?
If Tony was like super stubborn about needing to fill out a certain amount of time, you could have had Swerve do the stomp to Dustin's ankle. You could have had Dustin get taken out, go out like a champ. And I mean like go out like a champ as in like, bro, your ankle's shattered. We're not clearing you to compete. You can't do this. And then Swerve sets up on the top rope, the way that he was while Dustin was trying to fucking make his way back into the match, which they let him and they shouldn't have in kayfabe. And Swerve should have gotten a mic and be like, well, since I've taken out the trash, who else wants some? Shane Taylor should have come out. Shane Taylor can take an
That's a
L.
great idea.
Shane Taylor just made amends with Keith Lee on the most recent ROH show. They shook hands after Keith won the match. They were cool. They're formerly like a best friends in kayfabe. Like Keith used to be part of his fucking promotion or his faction, Keith or Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor should have come out and gotten this pay-per-view spot. He should have been the one to lose to Swerve. He could have been as competitive with him as Dustin was, and it would have been much more believable because he wouldn't have had a shattered fucking ankle and he wouldn't be a fucking geriatric. He could have taken the loss and it wouldn't have hurt him because he's fresh off a loss to Keith Lee. And then you've also got the point of like, oh man, Swerve and Keith Lee both beat this guy. So that like they really are pretty even. So that builds up even better for the eventual match between them if and when Keith does get back healthy. That's the easiest way to handle this. I can't believe Tony didn't fucking do it. That's actually unbelievable. And also, I think that you kind of have a crossroads here in the argument because you could go one way of saying, oh, well, Tony didn't do that because he wasn't sure if Keith was going to be cleared tonight and he didn't know. And to that I say, he should have had a backup plan in place. He shouldn't have gone into this with all of his eggs in the Keith Lee will wrestle basket. So
Yeah.
I think that this is entirely a Tony Khan problem. I think Tony lacks creativity. I think that he lacks adaptability. And I think that Shane Taylor was 100% the way to go here. You tease like it's going to be Dustin because it makes sense because Dustin's friends with Keith Lee on AEW television. They're tag partners, etc. He wants to defend his honor, whatever. You get Swerve to do the Swerve stomp. He destroys his ankle. It's shattered. He doesn't get cleared. He's gone. Shane Taylor comes out and takes his place, and we get a solid match. You introduce a guy that's never been on Dynamite or any kind of AEW TV before to the AEW audience, and he's a talented wrestler. Shane Taylor's a solid fucking guy. And he has a history with Keith that the commentary team could have told us about. You get a solid match out of it. Swerve gets his dub. You further the story. There are literally no flaws to this plan. But Tony didn't think of it because Tony lacks creativity and adaptability.
Yeah. Well, I think you said it perfectly, man. I fucking hated this match. I'm gonna tell everybody right now, this was the point in the show, like after this match, that this show started to lose me. Like I was still attentive enough, I want to say, but like this is where I started mentally checking out because I'm like same old AEW bullshit.
Yeah,
So what came after this?
that's a great question. Well, more crowd being based moments because we had Le Sex Gods. Oh God, that's their tag team names: Jericho and Guevara and Sting and Darby versus Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and Takeshita and Hobbs.
Before we get into the actual match, I do just want to actually give unironically praise to wrestling journalism for the first time in my fucking life. Apparently somebody at the World's End Scrum asked about the sexual harassment to Tony Khan. So like
Wow.
I'm not used to that. I'm not used to people talking about like that kind of inside baseball stuff. Usually it's more kayfabe. So whoever did it, I hope they don't have their press credentials revoked. And I'm being serious because I know how petty fucking billionaire owners can be. And I do hope they get a spotlight and they're supported. I'd love to know who that journalist was because they definitely deserve to be supported. That's the kind of questioning we need in this fucking industry. That's what actual pro wrestling journalism to me amounts to. We should have had the same pro wrestling journalist fucking grilling Vince and maybe even Triple H about Vince and stuff like that. So kudos to them. But now to focus on the match, this is why I kind of said I started to check out, dude, because I did pay attention to this, but like, God, I just did not give a fucking shit. I am like, I do not give a fuck about any of these people. You know how I hate Darby Allin. Sting is whatever. Honestly, I respect him in like an in-ring sense because he's taking bumps that like are insane and somehow is still like moving and shit. Um, yeah, I was thinking about sex gods all day because with Jericho, it's a sexual harassment god, more like seemingly after what came out today. So don't care for Jericho even before the allegations. Thought it was a piece of shit. I mean, after all, his wife was at the Capitol, January 6th. So like a lot going on there, and I think he donated to Trump's campaign. Sammy Guevara is just a fucking child. just emotionally immature. And I know Javaris is like, maybe fatherhood will help him out. Recently, I saw that even Ty got mad at him because apparently he spent money that they were saving up on like a classic N64 system that was
Oh, that's from
unopened.
a while ago, man. That's from before she had the kid.
Before she had the well, even so, like, if they were saving up money because having a kid's fucking expensive, like, that just shows you where his priorities are, and I really doubt that he's changed that much, but I don't know the dude, so who's to even fucking say? Just yeah, I really did not care about anybody in this, um and yeah, it was okay. I mean, Sting had his spots where he like hulked up. Jericho kind of joined him on it again. The best part to me of this match was the crowd. I saw some signs that were like get Jericho out. My favorite sign was World's NDA. I thought that was pretty clever. And they were booing Jericho heavily anytime he was active in the match. And I hated the finish because Sammy Guevara, that was a shit shooting star press. He caught who did he even hit like on the fucking knees? Was it Takeshita? I forget who he hit on their knees and pinned them. But yeah, the baby faces win of Jericho, Guevara, Sting, and
Oh,
Allen.
the baby faces. Oh,
Yeah,
are we
yeah,
sure?
the baby faces, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
I
just
feel
my
like they
quick
should have
thoughts. Yeah.
swapped the Jericho Guevara team for Ricky Starks and Big Bill because everyone loves Ricky and Bill.
Yeah, you know what? I'd agree with you on that, honestly. I mean, goddamn. Yeah, this was just such a meh fucking match to me. And in fact, you want to know a shooting star press done right, everybody. When we talk about NXT, I will just say Riley Osborne beat Lexus King with a shooting star, and it was a fucking proper shooting star because he hit Lexus in the midsection, where a pin is actually like believable to me. So good on Riley Osborne for reminding
Listen,
everybody how a shooting
man,
star press is done.
he knocked the wind out of his knee lungs. Relax.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, so what did you think about this match?
I didn't think about this match.
Then let's move on. What came after this?
Julia Hart versus Abaddon.
Well, lucky for me, I can pull a you. I didn't think about this match because I wasn't even in the Discord for this. Well, I was AFK
Right.
for this match because I was getting food. And I totally
Yeah.
checked out.
No, I
I
mean to
do
be
like Julia
fair,
Hart.
I was very
Yeah.
disappointed by the lack of Thunder Rosa. Um, I know Sky Blue did have to knock Abaddon off the top turnbuckle at one point in order for Julia to pull off this win. This entire reign is just going to be Julia hanging on by a thread and only winning because Sky Blue is helping her to win and interfering in matches. Um, they never should have taken the title off Statlander. Like this is doing nothing to help anyone at all. It's not getting Julia over. It's not getting Sky over. It's not getting their opponents over. It's just spinning their wheels. And it makes no sense. And it's bad TV. It's not interesting. It's not compelling. And yeah, I think the sooner Thunder Rosa gets out here and challenges and wins the title, the better. And they're dragging it out, which is even more of a problem.
I mean, yeah, again, I said earlier, I like Julia Hart. I was happy when she won the title, but I did think it was too soon for her because I think she was actually getting over organically and it might have happened too fast because I just think Statlander is just such a fucking asset. So I'm not gonna fight you on it. I didn't pay attention to this. I don't like Abaddon personally because the only full match I saw her in was that one like kind of trick or treat street fight kind of matchup that she had with Hikaru Shida when she was the champion. God, I miss Hikaru Shida. I wish she was on this card tonight. And yeah,
Wouldn't
I
it
find
be
Abaddon to be kind of
nice?
mid. Yeah. So really nothing to say about this match. What came after this? Oh yeah, and thank you, Cerulu. It was Ricky Starks that ate the pin in the tag, and he's one half of the tag team champions. So that just means
So
the
I
sex
guess,
gods are gonna get a
yeah,
title shot.
Jericho and Guevara are going to get title shots as I predicted.
I just want to recede into myself and die. What happened after this?
The longest match on the card.
Edge Christian.
That's right. Cope.
Oh God, this wasn't even bad. I'm just
Bro,
like,
they're both 50.
but they both, and I will say both of them still have this. God, they can both still work on mic though.
That,
That's the thing. Like that is their biggest asset. They can
yeah,
both
they
still work on
can.
mic.
You know what they can't both work, though? A can of kerosene, because they both struggle with the flaming table spot.
Oh God. You know who else
Uh,
struggled with the table? Apparently Nick fucking Wayne, and he's 18. So
like,
what's his fucking excuse?
you know, I gotta say, the thing is, I don't really think I can put too much of the blame on him because Christian was helping him to light the table on fire, and Christian has a hell of a lot more experience, and I feel like he's more to be held accountable than the kid. And then when Copeland got the table to light on fire, when you're in powerbomb position, you don't have too much fucking control over where you land, and Copeland's the one that made him fall a little too far away, and it prevented the table from being able to break.
Oh,
So
no, I was referring more to that, like, stun kinda maneuver that Nick Wayne did, and, like, I don't know, it kinda looked to me like he wanted to put Copeland through the table, but then he just kinda awkwardly hit the floor, maybe the side of the table, and I'm just like, "That looked kinda bad." But, yeah, all the other stuff I do
well, that's what
concede
I'm
he
saying
wasn't
though
that.
is that Copeland powerbombed him what was supposed to be through the table, but he missed it. He hit him. He threw him too far away, and he ended up like like he barely hit the edge of the table, and he landed on the floor.
Hey, Dub. Hey, Dub. Yeah, just
Here,
yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Um But yeah, it was a back and forth thing. Edge tried, as a babyface doing more of the high risk offense, crossbody off a balcony, fucking died off the barricade with a clothesline, stuff like that. Christian did a steel chair low blow. It's been a while since I've seen one of those. Edge did his crossface with like the chair leg, kind of shout out to his feud with Roman Reigns. So, they tried to really make the no DQ stip, like, get all the hype out of it. But, in the end, Christian gets low blowed by Edge at one point after, a bunch of shenanigans. Edge hits the kill switch after talking some shit. We don't really know what he said, to Christian, and he gets the win. So he beats Christian with his own move. Then Luchasaurus appears from behind, menacingly, takes out Copeland, choke slams him, and then I think he choke slammed him again, through a chair
through a
or
chair, he
on
had
a
to
chair.
set the chair up like you were gonna sit on it, and then he choke
Yeah.
slammed him across it. Oh god, that was nasty.
Yeah, and then he was gonna cash it in, and then wouldn't you know it, the patriarch recovers just in time to be like, "No, no, give it to me. Give it to me." And then they had a lost in translation moment because Luchasaurus was resisting, and then Christian said something to him that none of us can hear, but we're all speculating. My personal vote was, "I'm your fucking father, do as you're told," which hot if true. Luchasaurus relinquishes the contract. Christian cashes it in, gets a spear on Copeland, and regains the TNT title. So, I love just all the crazy stuff that we're doing that just makes everything mean nothing. Because
Hey,
Copeland went through all
Killswitch,
that.
Killswitch, get your ass down here. Lean your big ass head down here. Listen, listen. If you don't give me that contract right goddamn now, I'm taking your new name away and kicking you out of the patriarchy. How do you want to feel? How does it feel? Do you want to go back to being that loser Luchasaurus again? Do you want to go back to being a fucking dinosaur again? Give me the goddamn contract.
I have the fossils of your mother, you fuck. Cough it up. And
I mean, to be
so
fair, it would have been funnier if it was his father because of Christian being who he is. But
yes, yes. Um, I mean, for one
get down here,
thing,
Luchasaurus. Your father's dead. I'm the only thing you've got. Give me the fucking contract.
I mean, for one thing, Christian's all of our father, so I, for one, am happy for him. But on the other hand, I just again, the Dustin Swerve matchup, that's when things started to fall off for me, and I thought that this would pick things up more because again, these guys both really know how to work a stick still, but that doesn't
Oh, work
translate
that
to in-ring, and
stick.
in-ring exactly, and while the in-ring wasn't drizzling shits by any means, it was still boring
It
to
felt
me for
like the
most of it.
match started at one point to be very spot festy,
Yes.
which I'm not used to from these guys, especially Christian. Christian's such a consummate pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, we got a new world champion 2 times in a row,
Isn't it beautiful?
and by the end of the night, the guy
Uh,
that walked into the show with the title walked out of the show with the title.
yeah.
God, I love that.
Alright,
So,
next matchup.
yeah. Next up, we had Eddie Kingston versus John Moxley for the Continental Classic Triple Crown Championship.
Dude, I just did not give a fuck about this. I'm sorry.
Same. I paid a little attention. Like there were parts of the match that I did pay attention to. I realized while I was watching this though that while I like Eddie Kingston as a mic worker, and as like a mid carder And even like a mid card champion is fine, which is basically what he is now, so I can't complain too much. But like, this guy doesn't look like a professional wrestler.
Well, okay, I'm gonna pretty much replicate your criticism, but change wording significantly on one thing.
Okay.
Because to me, I feel like the conception of pro wrestler has become so diverse that he looks like a pro wrestler, sure. I just don't like how he works as one. Because, like,
Really?
I don't know, like, well, yeah, because, like, I feel like he's just too slow. And the
That's kind
strong
of
s
what I when I say I don't not talking about like his physical appearance. I mean like
right,
the way he looks when he's in the ring. Like he looks
yeah,
schlubby when he's in the ring. Like it literally it's like
yeah.
he's waiting for the other guy to come to him. It reminds me of like you get like these big out of shape guys at their local indie promotions that they're the promoter of, so they make themselves the world champion. And it's like, bro, nobody on planet Earth believes that you could win in a real fight. The only reason you're champion here is because you've booked yourself to win it.
Yeah.
Like that's what Eddie Kingston reminds me of sometimes, because like he's a great talker, no doubt about that. But when he gets in the ring, he just comes off as so lethargic to me.
Yeah, well, that's the problem I've had with Eddie Kingston for a while. And again, it's a shame because I honestly think the dude, maybe even his top 5 mic worker in AEW. I really like Eddie's promos. I think he's very sincere. I think he could go to that dark place, but not be like a stereotype or like contrived about it. I think he's got range, essentially, to put it succinctly, on the mic. And not every Eddie Kingston match is bad. I do think it's partially due to the dance partner, but, like, I don't know. This match to me just felt very uninspired. Um,
It felt like they were moving in slow motion.
it did, and then even the ending sequence where he just wins with the back fist, like, I'm sorry, but this
We
is John
literally saw
Moxley
him
in
have to
Great.
use 2 and 3 back fists to win in New Japan.
Yeah, and, like, this is John Moxley, who's still, like, the company ace in my mind,
Yeah,
and I know this is gonna be hypocritical of me because it's like, "John, pick one," but, like, I also don't like that AEW has commitment issues. You have shown that you have a booking philosophy where it's like, "Oh my god, he went through a flaming thumbtack table, 2 count, whatever." And what like a big back fist like beats John Moxley. Like Dustin Rhodes in part looked tougher to me than John Moxley
yeah.
tonight. Like that
That's
shouldn't fucking
dude.
happen.
No, that is a brilliant way of describing it, because there is a lack of consistent messaging in the product.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
lack of them telling, like, when you run a television product, you have to be consistent with certain things. You can't have somebody get their ankle shattered and then have them still be able to go 10. Actually, how long was that match? It
Too
was
long.
almost 10 minutes with somebody who is perfectly healthy and on one of the hottest, if not the hottest streaks of their career. And then just a few matches later, have somebody lose to a single back fist to the face. Like it's jarring. And that's not what you want in pro wrestling. The whole point of pro wrestling is your audience wants to suspend their disbelief. You don't have to work that hard to get them to do it, but you do have to work really hard to get them to break that suspension of disbelief. And AEW works their hardest to break it on almost every one of their shows because of shit like this.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I really don't know what to say about this. I mean, congrats to Eddie. I don't want to be disrespectful to the dude, but like I really just don't care about AEW, man. And like the mid card scene, like cool. Eddie's the head of it, but like what do we do? I have
He's
so
not
many
even
fucking
though.
questions.
He's not even the head of it though. Christian is. He's the TNT champion. That's
That's true, that's
yeah.
true. But, like you said, he's 50, so I feel like AEW's got kind of an age problem here, just a little bit. And hell, I
Whatever
love Joe.
happened to the international championship too?
Isn't Orange Cassidy's champion again? He's
Oh yeah,
defending that coming up
yeah.
actually
He's gonna
against
be.
Dante
Who
Martin,
is
right?
that again? Who's he defending it against?
Dante Martin, I
That's
thought.
right. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I
I
would.
can't
I
believe
would.
I paid enough attention to remember
I
that
would
because
say
fuck
though
this
that
company.
Orange Cassidy is more qualified to be called the face of the mid card than even Eddie Kingston.
I would also agree with you with how over he is with the AEW crowd, so, like,
So
yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Eddie is like third in the pecking order in the mid card.
Yeah, but they gave him a lot of shine though with this tournament, and again, it's like Eddie's fine as a person, as a worker, but like he is on the older side. Yeah, AEW really does have an age problem, save for like Cassidy, Starks, I guess. Julia
No,
Hart, I
dude,
know, is
Orange
young, but I
Cassidy's
just
almost
wasn't.
42.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Orange
Jesus
Cassidy's
Christ.
39 years old.
Julia Hart, I know, is young,
Yeah.
and I think Ricky Starks is
Ricky's
young. I don't
pretty
know
young,
about
I
Big Bill.
think. Let me look up Ricky real quick. Big Bill's a little on the older side too, I want to say. Ricky Starks is 33, Big Bill's 37.
Yeah, like, and look, I love Joe to death, but let's be real about it. He's 44. I just looked it up,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that with the main event later. But
That's next
y-
actually.
that okay, well, perfect segue. Let's talk about the main event. I want to again because didn't really get to hear you talking. You already kind of heard some of my thoughts in the Discord. How'd you feel about this main event? Just the match, the result, the aftermatch. Just give me all your thoughts here.
The match itself was kind of mid to me. It wasn't really like it wasn't terrible like the Jay White match was to me.
Yeah,
But it wasn't like good. I wouldn't call it a good match, which is a low bar, or I guess I should say that it's like below average for Joe because Joe usually has good matches.
yeah,
MJF just doesn't do it for me, man. He's just not believable. I really hated the opening of the match because the last time that we saw either one of these guys, Joe betrayed MJF and destroyed him with a chair, and we opened the match with a lockup.
yeah,
I like.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but again, they need to learn how to tell better, more comprehensive stories because I'm sorry, but first of all, the entire story leading up to this was convoluted and inconsistent and illogical and just bad in general as hell. But then, even just this week alone, if you completely isolate this week and you see, like, okay, Samoa Joe was working with the devil, he betrayed MJF, he attacked him with a chair, and then you get into the actual match, and MJF isn't even mad. He's got one of his fucking arms in like a bunch of tape. It's almost in a sling, it looks like. And we get into the match itself, and MJF, who is the most desperate motherfucker on the planet to keep that title, or at least I should say he should be the most desperate motherfucker on the planet to keep that title because that means everything to him, just locks up with Joe like it's nothing.
yeah.
Like that, again, does not compute for me.
Right.
And then we just wrestle a regular ass wrestling match. And it's what's weirder to me too is that like Joe came off as the more vicious one between the two. Again, it's like Joe is selling this match more like he's the one with the blood grudge against MJF than the other way around. When MJF is the one going into this with fucking everything to lose.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this I think is the first time because like the Jay White match I really did chalk up to just booking and like overbooking specifically. This is the first time that I've ever thought to myself, wow, MJF really just isn't good at this. He's actually just not that good of a wrestler.
yeah,
He does one thing well, and he's a spot monkey, and that's it. That's all he does.
yeah. Um, well, is there like Joe being the champion? How do you feel about Joe actually winning after the Coquina and winning the title?
I was shocked. I have to say, this was the first thing on this entire show that legitimately stunned me. I was actually blown away that they did this. I cannot believe that, dude. I think the thing that shocked me most though is again because I didn't think that they had the balls. They didn't have like they weren't so bold. They didn't have the balls to throw away one of the most hyped stories in their own company, which is the bidding war of 2024. That's just gone now. Nobody gives a fuck about that anymore. It's just
I
dead. It's just dead.
yeah. I apologize to everybody that I keep going back and forth from like talking about the card, talking about like the bigger controversy surrounding AEW at the moment with Chris Jericho. But first of all, you guys got to see Khan in this scrum. He looks drugged out of his mind because he's wearing big fucking glasses. I don't know what the fuck's going on with his hair, or if that's a hat he's wearing or what.
Oh,
Dude looks
yeah.
weird.
So apparently Tony Storm put that hat on his head.
Wow. Okay. But while he's wearing that, 'cause, you know, we're talking about lighthearted stuff, clearly, so you can look like a fucking goof. He said, quote, "AEW has the best safety record out of any wrestling company in the world." And I'm just like, "Oh."
Dude, apparently Tony said in the fucking scrum that Keith's injury kept him from being used more often. I have to show you this tweet now.
Okay, okay. And then I'll give my fuller thoughts, guys, on the matchup. Just because again, I really have been wanting to hear Ashton's thoughts all night, but you know, he kind of
I
spoke on the
posted it
match
in the
here.
Discord. So
Okay.
you're gonna have to click on it because he's responding to a fan. But the fan that he's responding to uh, said, "Now here is the answer of why Tony Khan hasn't been utilizing Keith Lee more often on TV. I only hope that Keith recovers soon and is able to return to TV on a full-time basis soon." Keith responded to him and he literally just said, "Incorrect." And meanwhile, Tony Khan is at this press conference saying that Keith's injury is why he hasn't been used more.
That is really bad. That is really bad. Jesus Christ.
Dude, this keeps happening. This keeps happening. This company is a dumpster fire.
AEW Creative, which is essentially just Tony Khan and I'm sure a bunch of ass kissers and sycophants. Boss, what should we do today? Racism. Just fucking fuck all these black wrestlers. They're not gonna be able to do shit. And we're just gonna say that Keith didn't get used because of an injury. Because I'm telling you, like, I can't help but think race with how he treated Swole, with how like you have a fucking Dustin Rhodes be competitive with Swerve. Like, I just God, God, Tony, fuck. Okay. Are you before I take the reins on my thoughts on the main event, do you have anything else you want to say about Joe, MJF, anything? Because I'm sure we'll treat the post match as like a separate discussion. But as far as the match itself, are you good?
As far as the match itself, I'm good.
Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, for me, I I don't want to necessarily say copy paste what Ash had said. I think he made a lot of salient points. I thought I was gonna say "fuck you" to this match because I'm still pissed that the Muscle Buster on the apron didn't just immediately end it. Like, this is my problem with contemporary pro wrestling. If you wanna do crazy shit, I mean, I advise against it because I believe in personal welfare and longevity and, you know, not using up bump cards on bullshit. But if you're gonna do crazy shit, at least respect the crazy shit enough to have it be the finish. There is nothing wrong with short matches if it makes a guy look dominant, and it's some fucking Joe. There should never be a problem making him look dominant. And as I said in the Discord, and I stand by it, you had MJF kick out, which was bullshit. I'm sorry. To me, it was bullshit. He should have been out for a fucking 20 count because it's a fucking muscle buster on a fucking apron. He should have immediately gone to that coquina clutch. Immediately. Because how would he have resisted it? Like, realistically, if you want me to suspend my disbelief, he would have had no defense towards it because his back is fucking shattered. But no, they go and they have a fucking match. Like, I hate this company and I hate so much of pro wrestling psychology. It is in the fucking mud. Um, MJF, I guess, did fine on selling in parts, but see, that's the problem. Because he did some solid selling in parts, but you also expect me to believe while you're in agony and you're like, oh my God, my arm's hanging by a thread. Everything fucking hurts and I want to die. Oh, muscle buster on apron. I could still kick out at 2, though. Fuck you. Fuck you, Tony. Fuck you, Tony. Fuck you, Tony. Fuck you, Tony. God damn it. Cole was one of the best parts of this match, honestly, with his emoting and him just being a fucking dick. Um, and I like the finish where like he had the dynamite diamond ring. I think it would have been a bit more like eye rolling and cliche of like, oh Max, I somehow forgot it. He took his time in finding it. And that allowed Joe to get the coquina and get the win. And now I'll break the bread on the post match discussion with a question because I don't necessarily want to dive into the post match. Well, I guess I should first before the question. This way everything's nice and neat in order. So Joe celebrates the title, which I will say as more of a meta comment. I'm happy for Joe. Does it make sense? I'll have thoughts about that in a few minutes. But if we're just looking at the human being and who should represent a company, I mean, you were talking about a guy that I think had the best take during the CM Punk fiasco.
Yep.
That's always been common. Cole has never aired dirty laundry about anybody, has always known how to use fucking social media. Sammy, and even a little bit Andrade. I love you, but like Joe, is never gonna air shit on social media because he's a grown ass fucking man. He's amazing on the fucking mic. And you know what? I think he's past that period. Not that he can't get injured anymore, but like I would hope that the stigma when he had his injury, quote unquote, injury prone period, because he's still a solid worker in the fucking ring. He's 44, and that does make me kind of side eye this company a little bit again, that it has an age problem. But Joe, to me, I'm willing to make an exception for him. I've had a deep respect for Samoa Joe for a long fucking time. And you know what? You could do a lot fucking worse. You could give the title to Jericho again, So like I'll take fucking Samoa Joe 100%. I'm happy for the dude. So that's one thing I just want to say straight away before we really get into the post match. And so Cole is trying to do the consoling of MJF, like, oh man, you're still the champion, you fought your heart out there. And then kind of the minions surround the ring and Cole is like, he's on his crutches. He's got a crutch ready to defend. MJF is like, oh, come on, you bring it on, you guys. And I thought Cole was going to hit MJF in the back with the crutch. He doesn't. The minions actually swarm the ring. They restrain MJF. They restrain Cole. I even thought they like put the boots to Cole, but they didn't hurt Cole. They just restrained him. Um, and then one of them's got a chair, and they're debating, do I hit Max? Do I hit Cole? Um, Cole saying, "Don't do it, don't do it." And Max, he's like, hit me." And then he goes to hit Cole, and MJF's freaking out. He's like, don't you hit him. Don't fucking hurt him. Like whatever. Like he's really losing his mind. We do the lights out spot, which it was
At
used
least we
well
didn't
here, but
have any other ones tonight, I don't think, unless there was one for Brody King that I didn't pay attention to.
I don't think there was. So I credit them for their restraint, which is a very low bar, but somehow they keep tripping over it. Fucking Charlie Brown syndrome bullshit. So yeah, lights go out, turn the lights back on, and wouldn't you know it, Cole's sitting in the chair. So it's not Jack Perry, everyone. And I'll admit, my Schadenfreude is a little disappointed because I really wanted to cackle, but no, it's Cole, and it's the right call. And he has this smile on his face, and Max is just heartbroken. He is crying so hard, like a bitch. It's amazing. Like, no, I finally really committed to being a face, and you were my friend. Yeah, well, I got you before you got me. Go fuck yourself. And then everybody else unmasks, and it's pretty much the Kingdom and Wardlow are the people in league with Cole. I will reiterate, I miss the fuck out of Kyle O'Reilly. I have no idea what's going on with him. I don't even know if this is like a
Dude,
did
I'm
he
not
have
gonna
to
lie.
retire
Part of
situation.
me is legitimately concerned that Kyle will side with MJF in this.
Oh no, that would be
I say that for two
awful.
reasons. So, first of all, we know like Kyle and Adam. First of all, they've teamed together in AEW already. They've done it. They probably will do it again at some point. But they haven't feuded with each other in AEW yet, and that's something that they love to do.
Yes,
And second of all, look at how many dudes there are surrounding Adam Cole.
yes.
It's Adam Cole plus four, right?
Well, yeah, because it's Taven, Bennett, Strong, and Wardlow. So yeah, four.
Right. So I could be reaching for straws here, and I do admit that. But when this happened, I had it in my mind that MJF was going to recruit the other pillars to be his partners in this sort of war. And I had it in my mind like, okay, well, there's only four pillars though, so who would be the fifth guy?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh God.
So I'm
I
thinking we could
mean,
get like a 5-on-5, maybe a blood and guts match. Adam and the four guys versus MJF, Sammy, Darby, Perry, and Kyle.
I've really missed Kyle too, but don't do this to me. Because oh God. Oh God. Um. So here's my one big question, and I don't want to be the turd on the punch bowl because this was honestly the best thing on the pay per view to me, and I mean everything. Just Joe winning the title and the post match, like it came off really well. Um, why didn't Cole want to win the world title?
That's yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, if you think about this story for more than 30 seconds, it completely falls apart. It makes literally no sense whatsoever.
Put a timer on it. I'm going to think about it for 30 seconds.
Literally, just answer me this: why was Samoa Joe protecting MJF that whole time?
I don't know.
What
I don't know.
what purpose did it serve for him to quote unquote get close to MJF? If all that it was leading to was a one-time beatdown anyway, when he could have been beating him down the whole time.
Yeah. Dude, that just says everything about this company, doesn't it? Because even when you do something well, it's still Swiss cheese. Because man, does that shit got holes. Fuck me.
Yeah, like, like, so the story is going to be that Adam told MJF to team with Samoa Joe because he planted that seed that like Samoa Joe was going to betray him, right? But like, why drag it out? Like, what is the point? Who benefits from this at all? I mean, it ended up working out in the end after all because Joe won the fucking title. But then, like, why did Adam want Joe to win the title? Like, why? Where's Adam benefiting from this? He is no longer even like he just betrayed the guy that lost the world title.
Can I say
You're
something
gonna have a
too?
match with MJF, and it's not even gonna involve the world title. So why do you even care anymore? What?
Like, and I need to say this too. This is again another instance where I think, given other things that we've kind of blamed Tony Khan for tonight, because Curtis had the idea. I think he one of somebody in the Discord. I don't want to put that on Curtis. That's not fair. So I should rephrase it and say I feel like somebody in our Discord said Cole was faking his injury, and they feel like it's been this
Yeah,
massive
I thought
work.
that he was too. It was me and Curtis. We both said that too.
Okay, yeah,
I think Curtis said that he was faking it. I said he was either faking it or it wasn't as serious as he let on. And he was still limping even after the reveal. So I don't know.
and that's the problem, right? Because he didn't get in on the beatdown on MJF. He didn't do anything. He just kind of sat and watched, as like
Yeah.
the maestro, if you will.
I'm sorry. No, you please continue. I'm just laughing to myself thinking about the details of the storyline and how it all fall apart under even the slightest bit of scrutiny.
But no, that's the thing, because if Cole is still hurt, this once again is a Tony Khan problem because you had to rush shit because you don't know how to fucking adapt. Like, I hate him. I hate him. I hate what he's done to pro wrestling. I hate what, pro wrestling has done to pro wrestling because a lot of the stuff AEW just inherited, like the way a lot of workers work
Yeah.
today. So that's not AEW's fault, but they don't help the problem either. I just God, at poor Cole, because I like the dude. I actually feel like people have been really harsh on him on social media because when he came out for what was it? Revolution? No, not Full
Full
Gear, Full Gear,
gear.
Full Gear. A lot
You
of
mean when
people
he
were
came
ragging
out
on
on
Cole.
crutches and he was going to wrestle in Max's place, even though the
Yeah,
whole
because
reason Max wasn't there to begin with was because he was kind of injured too?
yeah, and, like, they were like, "Oh, Cole looks like shit," and, like, "Oh, the beard is awful," and, like, being really mean to the dude, and I'm like, "I'm not here for that shit," but I will say, like, it's been a rough time for Cole. I feel bad for a lot of guys. Keith Lee, my heart breaks for, and Cole, my heart breaks for, because he had a scare of, like, "Am I even gonna wrestle again?" Comes back, actually makes magic for AEW, because whether we liked it or not, a lot of people were into his storyline with MJF. They have a decent match at all, and even though I do feel like it was still that overbooked, like ROH style bullshit. But then he gets hurt, and it's like, damn, this whole storyline he was crafting, like now he's got to craft it in a different role, and it definitely hurt him. So like, I think the moment Cole got hurt, everything started to fall apart. But Tony doesn't adapt, right? So it's like, no, we're going to keep going to what the destination always was. We're just going to change a few things up. Now, the only positive of that is we've got Samoa Joe in the year of our Queen Utami 2023 going into 2024 as world champion. Glad tidings for all. What an amazing man. He definitely deserves it. But where does that leave MJF? I'll ask you this question, Ashton, getting a little bit more inside baseball. Do you think he leaves AEW, or do you think this is all just a ruse and he's going to stick around and he's going to do the fucking feud with Cole?
The
What do
latter.
you think? I agree with you, actually. I don't think he's leaving.
Well, dude, didn't you?
Like,
Didn't we? We literally just had a report come out in like I want to say November that Max re-signed with the company for 7 figures and that it was like a multi-year deal.
Yeah,
So he's not going anywhere.
yeah. And so,
And frankly, I don't think WWE would want him even if he was a free agent.
dude, why would they? Like honestly, the dude killed his own stock. I'm sorry. Like,
Chad
and there might have been,
Gable is better than him at literally everything that he thinks he's good at.
yeah. And we're still waiting on the Chad Gable ship to actually sail water. I mean, I thought for a moment he was going to be the one to beat Gunther. That shit ain't happening. So like, if oh God, Super Blue. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. But yeah, I mean MJ. I just I don't see it. Do I think he'll go to WWE one day? Like he'll make the jump? Sure, he will. Do I think it'll work out for him? I'm not really in a position to say, but if I was to go by right now, nah, nah. He may be like a US champion or a continental champion, but I don't see world champion in him. It's funny that even though he's 25 now, I want to say maybe 26, like he's young and youth can be a great asset, but Joe at 44 still feels like more of a complete, more of a compelling performer than MJF does, even with all of his youth and vigor and vitality right now to me. And that's really saying something. So that's World's End, and honestly, this might be the first time we've done this, but talking about this show made me hate it so much more, so I'm gonna revise my grade, actually. I'm gonna go all the way down to a
6.
6.
Yep.
Like, fuck
Same.
this show,
Same.
honestly. Yeah. No. No. Like, because talking about it and poking holes even in the stuff that was good, I'm like, "No." Like, fuck AEW. Fuck AEW. No, I'm I'm
Fuck
I'm
Tony
over it.
Khan.
Fuck Tony Khan. Yeah. Yeah, fuck you, like, not even holding Chris Jericho accountable. Well, maybe we'll see about that. We'll see what he
Oh
does
no,
with it, but I'm not
no,
expecting much.
no, dude, no. There's no. He's not. Did you not wait? We talked about the thing that he was talking about with the goofy hat that Tony Storm gave him, right?
Well, yeah, how he said it has the best safety record in the world, and I assume that because of that, he's not going to hold Jericho accountable. But I, I,
Yeah,
I
like
want to see how much more pressure he gets applied to him
yeah,
here.
I was gonna say like he's saying that in response to someone asking him about Jericho.
Yeah,
Like someone asked him about Jericho, and he like someone asked him about safety and harassment involving women's wrestlers, and that there have how there have been concerns from fans recently, and what has been done to combat incidents in the locker room in the past and going forward. And he said that it's something that they're very serious about, and they have a policy in place. And at any time there's anything like that, they'll do everything they can to prevent it. So I'll just continue reading before I comment on it. He then says AEW has the best safety record he believes of any pro wrestling company in the world, the most safe environment, and he would hold AEW on safety against any pro wrestling company in the world. And he thinks AEW is the safest place for pro wrestling. He says if any wrestlers ever have a concern, they always have an open line to talk to him. And if anything came to light to him, he would take it to the disciplinary committee, who he thinks have been doing a great job.
Jesus Christ.
So, first of all, they have a policy in place. Okay, is it to make the wrestler who is the victim sign an NDA and then firing them? Because that's what happened to Kylie Ray.
Yeah,
And second of all, if you think that you're such a safe place to work, then what happened to you feeling like your life was at risk when CM Punk was there?
yeah,
Didn't you say that yourself? Didn't you literally say that you felt like your life was being threatened about one of your own workers that you had employed?
yeah. You openly said, "I fear for my life."
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Like motherfuckers don't forget.
Best safety record.
um,
I mean, do we really have to go like I mean, if he's just talking safety and not specifically like workplace ethics, I guess, as far as like sexual harassment type shit, if he's just talking general worker safety, do we have to go back and talk about Matt Hardy's concussion?
I've been thinking about that the whole time, and I'm so glad you brought it up because I same fucking energy, bro.
Right?
100%. 100%.
Right? Like, do we have to talk about Keith Lee literally working the last year and 3 months while injured?
Yeah,
Do we have to go even MJF? I don't even like MJF, but he's been working for the last month plus injured. He worked
yeah.
injured tonight.
Jesus Christ.
And you've got Adam Cole coming in limping around with a fucking walking boot on. Let's talk about safety, Tony.
Yeah. God damn it. Yeah, this gets a 6 from me, and I really don't wanna deal with AEW anymore. I'm sure people will still stay in the company because I know they were gonna lose people if it was Jack Perry as the devil, so AEW didn't go full nuclear, but I just can't. Even if they didn't have these problems, like, internally, I just don't feel any connection to the product at all. The most connected I felt, again, I think the 2, bright spots, and we talked about them, Andrade versus Miro, and Andrade might be going back to WWE, and I don't wanna put
Dude,
any faith
that's
in
the other
Triple H.
thing. Tony literally confirmed at the scrum that Andrade's contract is literally ending like today. So he could legitimately show up on Raw tomorrow.
God damn. That's fucking crazy, dude. That's wild to me.
Because the way he worded it was that Andrade's contract will be up by the end of 2023. Motherfucker, do you know that it is 1:50 a.m. on the 31st of December in 2023?
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro! I know that this isn't what you want, but I would be willing to bet that Andrade goes to SmackDown. He
Oh,
might show up
god.
on Raw the first time, like what Orton did, but then I really think he's going to end up on SmackDown because that's where all of the Latino wrestlers are. Like that's where the LWO is. That's where LDF is. He's going to probably end up as a part of that feud and have to pick a side. And he's, that's also where his wifey is. I mean, she's not going to be
Yeah.
around for a while, but that's where Charlotte is too. Charlotte's on SmackDown. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm
Bro,
gonna be
how did?
honest, bro.
Can we just talk again? I hope Javaris is in chat because he did it again, bro. He fumbled another bag.
Yeah. No, I have to give props to Abel because Abel said, "Thank you for reviewing the show because I slept through all of it." That was the best choice. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to
Oh,
be your fucking dad. Oh
Abel,
my
you're so
god.
precious. We love you so much.
Precious and intelligent. Sleep is gonna serve him a lot more than this fucking show would have.
I mean,
God
yeah, I
damn,
never
Abel,
said
you
anything
king.
contrary to that.
No, I'm just adding on to the compliments, sir.
Hell yeah.
God.
It's a worthwhile
Um,
compliment.
but yeah, like, good for you, Abel. I wish I would have. I mean, it was cool hanging out with all you guys, but, like, can we watch good wrestling next time? Jesus Christ.
Javaris is in chat. Hall of Fame bag fumbler extraordinaire, Tony Goddamn Khan.
You know, the only joy I would take if another Great Depression ever hit the economy, which is very, very likely given all the bubbles we seem to be sitting on, is that the wealthy would just go under too, because that's what happened in the first Great Depression. Even the wealthy people lost everything and
Wait,
they had to
really?
watch the stock tick down. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of wealthy people became poor too. They just watched themselves lose everything. Nobody even wanted to
Wow.
ask the other person how much they lost. And I want Tony Khan to be poor. I never thought I would say that to another human being, but I want him to know poverty because he is just fucking around, dicking around, and actively hurting people with his wealth like
Now,
all
John,
billionaires
I
do.
need you to know something.
Yes.
That thing that you just said, it was really fucking based.
Amazing. Honestly, if you were gonna discipline me, I'm in such a mood that I would have been like, "I don't fucking care." But no, you had me in the first half. No, dude, like, again, I'm glad we watched this show, and I'm glad we even watched, like, the really horrible parts because this really contextualized my relationship with pro wrestling as a whole, and I really do have one foot out the door. And I think my one foot that's still in the door is called Stardom, and I really am excited for their 2024 with them doing a lot of cleanup. And I'll even be honest, I am side-eyeing New Japan a little bit, but I want to get through Wrestle Kingdom first and really see Tanahashi have a clean slate to work with and see if there are any changes. That's it. Because I'll tell you, switching over to actually no, before I jump the gun on NXT, did you have anything else you wanted to say about World's End, brother?
I think I'm in a state now where I am in like a weird relationship with AEW where I'm invested in their storylines to the point that I can't wait to see how badly they fumble them.
Yeah, oh my god,
It's not
that's
even
beautiful.
hate watching. I'm not hate watching because, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, you know, those people who watch NASCAR because they want to see the crashes?
Yeah.
It's that. that, dude. I'm not watching AEW for the competitive matches. I'm watching AEW for the car crashes. It's so
Yeah.
fucking entertaining.
Other people watching this storyline. Man, this is gonna be great for this guy's career. Ashton watching the same storyline. Man, I can't wait to see this get fucked up.
It's it's I'm realizing now that I'm saying it out loud how warped and fucked up it is, but like yeah, that's pretty much my relationship with AEW right now is like I'm becoming more of a regular viewer because I enjoy watching them blow things up in their own faces. And really not even them. It's not a they them thing. It's a Tony Khan thing.
How does it feel that this is the closest you've ever been to being me levels of unhinged? How does it feel? Does it feel nice?
8 out of
Oh
10 would
man.
try again.
Wait, what was that again?
I said 8 out of 10 would try again.
Hell yes. I'll take that score honestly, because me being this unhinged, you guys already know I give it a 12 out of 10. I live in this shit. But yeah.
This is your home.
I never want to be normal or healthy,
You
like
have
ever.
hopped a squat and gotten comfortable.
You're damn right I have. This is my toxicity. There's others like it, but it's mine. And so now to transition to NXT, and this is the segue I wanted to make earlier.
Ah,
Not a bad product, but
comfort.
okay. So like, okay. Let's talk about what I watched, shall we? And let's begin in
Yeah.
reverse. And I'm gonna say something
Oh, in
potentially
reverse, so we're
insensitive
talking
here.
about the NXT Underground match first.
Yeah, because I need to I watched the full match because they uploaded the full
Oh,
match.
cool.
Okay. I'm just gonna be real with everybody. Eddie Thorpe, I think he is genuinely like he has like indigenous like
Yes.
blood, like
Yes.
roots. And on one hand, that's really cool. And TWitWoW's always been big about representation and breaking like the whiteness and the monotony
Yeah.
in pro wrestling. And like, yes, I want to just emphasize that before I go and seem like a total dick because not good things are coming for Eddie Thorpe. So I just want to point out it's cool that we're getting representation, especially because Lexis King took on another Indigenous wrestler in the breakout tournament, which I feel like we did everything wrong. I feel like we
No,
should
he
have kind of
didn't.
flipped
He
it.
never actually faced him yet. So Trey Bearhill was supposed to be in the breakout tournament. Lexus jumped him and took his spot.
Well, that's why I say he took him out. Like I didn't mean like elimination. I thought he assaulted him and like
Oh,
kind
I
of,
thought you said took him on. I didn't think you said took him out.
no, no, I said took him
So
out.
yeah, so
Um,
we're gonna be
yeah,
getting a match between them apparently at some point soon, hopefully.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm thinking we kind of messed that up a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm sorry. Because here's the other thing. Yes, Twitwell was very committed to representation, but we're also committed to treating everybody equally. And I say all of this to say that I think Eddie Thorpe is a dweeb. I look at him and there's no believability to me. I look at him against a guy like Dijak, who I've seen him in PWG and I've seen him in Black and Gold NXT and this NXT now, and I'm asking myself, what did he do? Who did he piss off? What's he being punished for? Because this dude never gets to do anything. Like he gets to work, sure, and that's good, and that's better than I'm sure a lot of people. So I got to keep perspective. But I'm talking get something he could really sink his teeth into. He made this NXT Underground match, I think, a lot better than it had any right to be. I did like the setup. I liked everybody surrounding the ring. But Dijak, they take him for granted because you know this kind of match can work because you know this guy's a freak. You know this guy's a bigger guy that could soar with ease like a fucking cruiserweight. And Eddie Thorpe, well, I like that he's proud of his heritage and he should be proud of his heritage and we should showcase that heritage and we should showcase it, you know, productively and positively and not caricature it or stereotype it. Doesn't mean I'm going to believe you to go into somebody else's house, somebody else's ring and beat that guy. Like, I'm sorry, Dijak is a monster to me, and this genuinely I can't say pissed me off because I was so drained after World's End, I barely had any emotion left, but I just kinda groaned, honestly, because 'cause I'm like, "Dijak gets fucked over again." I really didn't care, like, the match was fine, hated the finish. Oh, and by the way, the one problem I do have with the gimmick, his DDT is called Manifest Destiny. What? Isn't that the same thing that just utterly displaced indigenous people because white people thought that they were entitled to the fucking earth? Like, oh, we were ordained by God or some higher force to go out and expand our land at the expense of indigenous people to the point where they would starve bison just so that they wouldn't have a fucking food supply. That there is an image on the internet that's going to live in my head rent free of like a soldier, like a colonizer soldier, standing behind this just wall of bison skulls. it's fucking haunting,
Yeah.
and your DDT is called Manifest Destiny. That's the biggest problem I have with it. Everything else is fine from what I saw. Maybe there's other stuff because I just don't pay attention. But I heard that, and I heard Vic Joseph call that, and he hit 3 of these, so I had to hear Vic Joseph say Manifest Destiny 3 fucking times. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, Dijak loses, and I'm like, "This dude is just never gonna get anything." So, that's great. What did you think about this, though?
You know who I think ruined Eddie Thorpe for me?
Eddie Thorpe. You're laughing because I got it, didn't I?
I'm laughing because that was hilarious. No, what I was gonna say though was Tatanka.
Oh, okay. Okay, I actually thought about Saga a little bit in my head, but I didn't wanna bring him up on this.
So the only
But why
reason I
were you
say
thinking about
Tatanka,
Saga?
Tatanka was also legitimately Native American. Like that was a legit thing. It's not like he was just playing a character like so many other
Right.
instances in WWE. But the reason I say that is because Tatanka was fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like Tatanka was built like a fucking like he had that like Kenta Kobashi build. Like he was a thick motherfucker.
Yeah.
And Eddie Thorpe is Eddie Thorpe.
Thorpe. Like a genuine
Apparently,
question.
it's based on Jim Thorpe, who is another Native American who was really successful.
Okay, then I'm gonna back off a bit because I don't wanna be like, sincerely, I don't wanna be an insensitive prick. I know my humor at times, it can cross a line because I'm fire at everybody at times, even those that don't deserve it. So I'm gonna back off, and I do apologize because indigenous people get enough fucking crap.
Yeah.
They don't need a guy like me to dump on a name or whatever. I mean, God, my old name, which I'm not gonna share here, it's like, what the fuck kind of name is that? Okay, so I know naming conventions aren't always great, but that's their heritage that should be sure respected. But I still circle back to a point that I have every right to criticize this dude's look and how he works as a performer because he's trying to be a pro wrestler. And I'm sorry, no,
He
no,
needs
I
to hit
just
the gym with Dijak. That's the secret.
yeah, yeah, and you watch though. You say that somebody's gonna listen to this because they've ripped off TWitWoW before to make their storylines. I know I can't prove it, but I know it. And then it's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna work out together and be like, oh man, what a feud! You push me to my limit, and then they're gonna win the Dusty Classic or some shit when that comes back, and it's gonna be like, oh, cool. Now Dijak's in a tag team with this fucking dude. But I don't know, man. I really I like the concept. I will say this, I feel like this NXT Underground was better than most Raw Undergrounds that were kind of aired at the time. I feel like this really kind of, got the concept nice and tight and really had a strong presentation of it. I just wish Dijak went over, man, because 'cause I'm like, "This dude can do so much more than what he's doing." Um, Beyond that, Cora Jade, um, beat Petrovich.
Carmen
This wasn't
Petrovich, yeah.
Yeah, Carmen Petrovich. I will say I do like that Cora's,
Are we
finisher
not
is the
going
double arm
backwards
DDT.
anymore? Did you go back to the beginning or something?
Oh, I'm sorry. Because what came before, NXT Underground? Because yeah, I did say we'd
Well,
work backwards.
the immediate thing that came before that was the Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey match, and I have no interest in talking about that. But before that was our breakout tournament finals, or actually breakout tournament semifinals, Obafemi versus Tavian Heights.
Ah, yes. Why wasn't this?
Oh
Because
no, you didn't see this?
because I canvassed the YouTube channel and I went back and like, yeah, are you sure that this was on the 26th episode of NXT and this wasn't before then?
I'm
Because
sure.
I did not see that for the recent crop.
I am sure, yeah.
Wow, that is really weird. Let me I don't wanna, like, overly challenge you on this, but I just need to see it for myself. Um, well, yeah, I'll be damned. Oh, yeah, Gustavian Heights, that was Luca, and that was 19th. For whatever reason, I didn't see or you know what, maybe I did because I know Oba won didn't he win after a power bomb? So maybe I did see
I
this,
think
but I
so,
don't see
yeah.
it on the I didn't see it on the YouTube page after the fact, so I
Yeah, it
don't
was a
know
pop-up
what's
power bomb, basically.
Oh, you know what? It had me as already watching this, and I guess I didn't look at the date because I watched this a bit earlier. Because most of the NXT clips I watched tonight. That's the problem. And so, yeah, I did see this. What did you think about this matchup?
I enjoyed it. I thought this was really good. I really like Tavian Heights. I think he's really cool. Um, Obafemi definitely won me over here though, because this I think was the first time I ever saw Obafemi. Immediately a fan. Immediately a fan of him. Immediately rooting for him. Immediately hoping that he ends up winning the whole tournament because he did win this match and he did advance. So it's going to be him versus Riley Osborne in the finals because we do have to talk about that match as well. Riley Osborne beat Lexis King on this show.
Yes, with a proper shooting star press, Sammy. Um,
Samuel.
yeah. I gotta say, man, I liked Obafemi before this tournament because I saw like his actual debut. I think this dude's awesome. I will say though, Tavian has got a lot of fucking upside. Lot of upside. I really like this dude too. So both of these guys really excite me. Um, yeah, I watched this a few days ago, and that's why I got all confused and mixed up. But yeah, I did see this, and yeah, it was a solid outing. And Obafemi winning with the power bomb, I'm like, cool. He's a big guy. A power bomb's a believable finisher for a guy that size.
Yeah.
So I have no complaints about it.
Yeah. We also had kind of a talking segment between Lyra and Blair, which, no big deal. Braun Breaker beat Nathan Frazier, as you would hope.
Well,
Um,
can I just comment on that because you're
oh,
kind of
sure.
like speedrun a little bit?
Yeah.
I saw that. I just need to say again, I fucking love Braun Breaker, man. I love how much his moveset's expanded. And that spear, best spear in the fucking business right now. It like I'd put it above Suji's personally. I'd put it above Roman's. And Nathan sold it pretty well because when you look in his eyes, it looks like he's suffering internal bleeding or some shit. Braun Breaker's pure intensity. And again, I have to ask this week, it's become like its own kind of quasi TWitWoW segment. What the fuck is Braun Breaker still doing in NXT? I really can't wait for this dude to get called up. It can't happen soon enough. But please continue.
I mean, to be fair, the only other thing going backwards, there are only two other things that we haven't really talked about. One of them was the match that you were ready to talk about already, though, and that's Cora Jade versus Carmen Petrovic.
Yeah, not bad. I do like that Cora's finisher is the double arm DDT, but like, I don't know, man. I think I liked her better as a babyface, which is funny because she was greener back then. And like, I don't know, she doesn't really stand out to me right now with what she's doing, but maybe that's just me. Um, do you have any thoughts about this?
No, I didn't. But before this, we had our boy, Noam Dar, defending the NXT Heritage Cup Championship against Josh Briggs.
Yes, we did. How'd you feel about the metaphor?
I love them. I don't know if they're going to take my faction of the year, but they're definitely in the running. Let's just put it that way.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this. I mean, because I didn't see how Briggs got the first fall because the YouTube clip I watched, it was at a certain point in the match after that fall was rendered for him. Um, and then it seemed like,
Clothesline from
like
hell.
well, I figured he's got a beautiful lariat, does Briggs. I'll give Briggs all the credit in the world for his lariat. It's a thing of beauty. Um, Dar couldn't put him away though, and then they do this whole thing where like Lash hits Josh with a bucket, but that's still only a near fall for Dar. But then Briggs gets the bucket and he hits Dar, but the referee saw it, and that's an automatic DQ, which he just loses. So DQ and KO apparently in these matches just stop it immediately. So Dar retains. I do like that they're giving Briggs more things in singles to do away from Jensen because he seems to be in better shape. He again,
Oh yeah,
great
that's right.
lariat.
They broke up. The trio of Brooks, uh, Briggs, and Fallon Henley had like an amicable mutual breakup on this show.
Interesting.
They
Okay.
were all just like, I guess we have to go our separate ways, and they did the fists thing like one last time, and they all walked. Well, Briggs and Henley walked off screen to either side, and Jensen just kind of stood there with his fist there, kind of looking at it like he was contemplating life.
Well, maybe Briggs did this a bit prematurely because he probably could have used the backup out there. Uh, but yeah, don't know if he's gonna get a rematch, if this is gonna be any kind of a feud, but I need to see more metaphor, man, because the little bits I've seen, I do like them. Um, but I don't want to jump the gun again because I made that mistake a few moments ago. What came after this? Because if it's what I think it is, I do have some praise I want to dish out.
That was it. What were you thinking about?
Well, no, because there was Chase U versus Out the Mud on NXT. It was an all or nothing match. Let me just confirm.
Oh yeah, it was. That was on this show. I skipped over that. That's my bad.
Yeah, so I like Out the Mud, man. OTM's legit. Um, Great look, seemed to get decent heat. I like Andre Chase. He's a very sympathetic babyface, although I don't know if a heel turn's coming within Chase U. We already know Thea Hale's kind of going through some shit with JC Jane, which, by the way, thinking about this year, remember that like JC and Gigi feuded this year. It feels like a lifetime ago. It was very early this
Yeah,
year, like back in February.
yeah.
And I feel like neither one has really, like, moved up the card,
Nope.
like, after that feud. Like, it didn't help either woman.
Gigi did come out and save Carmen from Cora.
She did. She did, but I expect her to lose that match. That's the problem. Like, poor Gigi
Yeah,
has just got no
that's
upward
true.
momentum.
Yeah, Cora is their
Yeah,
pet project right now. You're right.
yeah, and, like, I don't have a problem with JC, but it's not like she's getting pushed anytime soon, nor do I necessarily think that
Yeah,
she
no,
should be.
JC is right now is basically kind of just like the number two girl in Chase U and like teaching Thea Hale to be more of a baddie, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, so I honestly wouldn't be surprised if at some point Gigi and JC just get back together because maybe there's more upward mobility in them being a tag team than whatever the hell. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I like Out the Mud, and I'm curious where this Chase U storyline will go, whether Duke Hudson's just gonna turn heel or maybe Andre Chase turns heel, and I don't know how I'd feel about that because he's very likable with the Full Sail crowd. I have said, and I stand by on this podcast, one of my out there John takes that I really think that Andre Chase could be that scrappy underdog that if you put in a world title match, now notice what I said. I said world title match, not world title on him. People would be hungering for him to win that fucking match. And the hope spots and everything else, I think that you could work that crowd into a fucking frenzy. That's the kind of worker I think Andre Chase is. But I don't know what's going to happen with Chase U, but I know OTM, if they're going to be challenging for the tag titles against, the family, I'm low key hoping they win. I dig these guys, and I definitely want to see more. So I wanted to kind of heap praise on there. And that kind of rounds out NXT. I know you said you kind of blanked on this. Did you see any of this? Did you have any comments you wanted to make on
I
this?
don't remember this at all.
Okay, well then we're just gonna move on then. And because this is in review, it's still the same format. We got 8 people watching. Leave some likes, guys. We got 0 likes right now. We'd really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm seeing
Um,
5.
you're seeing 5. Well, then my YouTube's fucking up because I ain't seeing shit. Let me refresh. And there it is. All right, nice. Thank you guys very much. I'm gonna like it to make 6. So we know
Wahoo!
exactly. So yeah, you guys know what's next then. Well, actually, before that, did you do any extracurriculars this week?
No.
Me either. I've been too busy thinking about awards and really just trying to get right in my own face. So then, if neither one of us did extracurriculars, next segment is, Q&A about this week in the world of wrestling.
Oh
So,
yeah, I forgot we did that. Hey everyone, you have any questions to ask us about this week in the world of wrestling?
yeah, which I mean, God, it would be well, what about Dragunov Super Blue? Because again, this isn't a full recap show necessarily. We only extensively comment on what we, like or feel like we can comment on. Because remember, we totally skipped over Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey. So, yeah, Dragunov can kick rocks. Um, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm opening up the floor.
Hooray! Yeah, there was a very brief interaction at the end of NXT between Dragunov and Trick, where Trick just asked Dragunov if he was able to strap up his boots and line up against him at New Year's Evil because he's not holding back. And Dragunov said, "Unfortunately, Trick, nothing and no one can stop me. The match is on," and that was the whole thing.
Yeah, wake me
The
up when Carmelo
whole
betrays
thing.
Trick, because
The
I'm really
whole
becoming convinced
thing.
it's happening.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. You're not even in the hole, are you? Sorry, I just love that finale. Uh, so far, no questions. I'm about ready to
I'm
close the
gonna
gate
count
already.
down from 5. If we don't get any questions by the time I reach 0, we're moving on to Abel's favorite segment. Oh,
Oh well, we got
has
a question from the Super
AEW
Bowl.
officially hit WCW 2000 levels? I'm gonna say no because I remember enough about WCW 2000, and as absurd and hilariously bad as AEW is, they're not putting the world title on Jeff Jarrett or anyone of that level. So we can say no, I think, safely still.
Yeah, and I have no comments, so I'm just gonna go with what this guy says.
And they've
So,
also never like done anything as ridiculous as like putting the world title on a celebrity, like David, what's his face, and the other
David
Russo,
Arquette, yeah.
Arquette and Vince Russo held it once too, I believe. So,
Yes.
how excited are you for Dream Queendom from your son?
Pretty fucking hyped, Abel, because I'm really thinking that Stardom's doing some necessary cleanup internally, changing some some organizational principles like fewer dates and stuff like that. So it really seems like Dream Queendom's going to be like ushering in a new era of sorts in a way, and I'm very excited to see who the new world champion's going to be because I think it's going to say a lot about Stardom's kind of booking philosophy and how they want to present themselves as a company and et cetera, et cetera. So if you want me to put a number to that feeling, son, I'd say I'm about like an 8.59 out of 10 for Dream Queendom. So,
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna also say 8.5. That's a really good number. I like that.
all right, all right. Any other questions?
Okay, now I'm gonna try this again. I'm going to count down from 5, and if by the time I reach 0, we haven't gotten any, never mind, we got another question from Super Blue. Do you think Osborne will get screwed by Chase's gambling problems? I hope so.
Who,
I really do, because I
who,
want Obafemi to win.
who the fuck is? Oh, wait. Oh, so wait, is
Riley,
Osborne with Chase? Wait,
yes.
Osborne's with? I didn't know Osborne was with Chase U. Okay, that adds a new wrinkle.
Merry Christmas.
That doesn't make any sense, but thanks.
It does when
So
you take into account that you're a little slow.
wow,
You're a little behind the times. That's all I'm saying.
wow. How old are you again? No, I've done. You know what? No, no. I'm gonna suck the vitriol back in. I have such a craving right now, but
I
I'm
was
gonna
just
resist.
joining you in the past, friend.
Wow. Okay. God, the craving is so strong. All
What
right.
craving? Oh, the vitriol. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you'll get yours later, but not publicly. But yeah,
Hooray!
sure. Sure he
Private
will.
lashings are always the best.
Indeed.
5. Actually, I never even explained how it's working. We'll trick Will next week.
You bet he will.
I'll Will next week.
Oh god. Oh, our son
Oh,
asked a very legitimate
Abel, you
question.
are the fucking goat. You need to know this. He said, "Sorry if Ashton posted the schedule." Side note, I didn't. But when do you guys plan to react to the show? I have been itching to watch it, and I can only listen with your commentary. So, Abel, the reason that I haven't been posting any kind of schedules is because we don't really feel like we need to anymore because our schedule is the same every week because it's Stardom Thursdays, in review Saturdays, and that's pretty much it, with very, very few exceptions. And in this case, it's the same. We will be live reacting to Dream Queendom Thursday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, there you go. And it's probably going to be the whole show, but we will just see if there are any matches we want to
If
skip
there's a
over.
Nanae match, we'll be skipping it.
Yeah, oh, you fucking know it. Fuck Nanae Takahashi. Um, how do you feel about Sasha not going back to WWE? Well,
How are you going
Mercedes
to
can do
call
whatever
her
the fuck.
Sasha when we know now that she's not going back to being that character anymore?
Yeah, it's all about the Monet.
Yeah, she even just
God.
filed 3 new trademarks.
Yeah, 3 of them, Super Blue. How many trademarks do you have? Yeah, that's what I thought. The same number as me.
Same number as
0.
me, too, yeah.
God. So, no, she could do whatever she wants and fuck that company. And like I said, with most of mainstream pro wrestling, fuck most of it, honestly. I've got one foot out the door. So Mercedes can do whatever the fuck she wants to do. I just want her to get paid. I want fucking Julia to get paid. I want everybody to
What
get
if
paid.
Mercedes shows up at Dream Queendom after Julia retains against Megan Bain and is like, "Give me my title, bitch"?
Maybe I'm still feeling that vitriol craving, but I'm just gonna say that's not happening. That's just not happening. I just feel
Are
like
you
Mercedes
saying
is
that
going to
because we
AEW.
would have heard of it by now and been spoiled on it?
Probably. I mean, I've already been spoiled on some other things, so
Oh
it's yeah.
no!
Oh yeah, you didn't think it wasn't gonna happen, did you? But yeah. Suck some of the despair back in. That was
I
too much.
won't. Don't tell me what to do.
I just did. God. Um, let's see. Abel said, thank you for letting me know. I will try to free my schedule for Thursday then. And you know what, Abel? I just want to thank you for not watching the show and like wanting to watch it with us instead. Because I do always feel some kind of way with some of our fans are like, oh, I stayed up and I watched start a pay-per-view. It's like,
Bro,
oh well, thanks for
bro,
cutting us out.
Javaris is right here in the room.
I know, but, like, I'm like, I always wanna share it with you guys organically, and I'm like, "Damn, you already know stuff. I wanna know stuff with you at the same time." But, yeah, I appreciate it, Abel, and I appreciate you
Super Blue
asking.
said, "Do you think Monet joins TNA or AEW?"
TNA couldn't fucking afford her, it's
Dude,
obviously AEW.
WWE could. No, I don't think she's going to either one, honestly. I think she's going to continue to do these per date appearances for New Japan.
Enjoy your false hope. Merry Christmas to you. That's not happening.
She's not going to go to TNA, and we already heard of the plans that AEW didn't want her bad enough.
I don't know, man. But then again, wrestling journalism's in the fucking mud, so I never know what to believe. Maybe you are right, but I don't know. I still feel like AEW is gonna have something up its sleeve, but who even cares? They're gonna fumble that bag anyway. Oh, Abel said, I just feel like your commentary adds so much to the Stardom product and helps fill the gaps for me. Oh, your face fills gaps in my heart, Abel. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly, Javaris. AEW basically said, like, we're not interested. Like,
Are you sure that one
AEW,
isn't them playing coy though? Because
dude,
I
I'm
feel like
telling you right
yeah,
now, it's not as explicit as it seems. It's not them saying like, huh, "You couldn't pay us to take her." It's literally them saying that they wouldn't. They don't see her as being worth what she's asking. That's literally what it
yeah,
is. That's what it is. WWE isn't willing to pay her what she wants. TNA couldn't afford it even if they wanted to. It's literally just going to be those. She's going to be working per date contracts with New Japan and Stardom again. That's what it's going to be.
yeah,
She's gonna be the next either one of the two IWGP Strong or IWGP Women's, or more likely New Japan Strong Women's Champion. I'm guessing.
yeah.
I mean, we know that they want to do the Mercedes versus Julia match. That's been something they've wanted to do for a while, and Julia's on her way out anyway. I would assume it certainly seems that way. So I think they're gonna do that match, and they're gonna have Julia drop the title to Mercedes before she leaves the company.
God, we're gonna have so many shakeups in 2024. I just feel
I,
it in my fucking
I've
bones.
heard. Oh God, I don't want to say it. Never mind.
Are you sure you don't want to say? Like, I'm being serious. Are you sure you don't want to
I
say it?
love you too much to break your heart like that. Yes.
It's Utami, isn't it?
I don't want to say it.
But it's Utami,
I'm
isn't
not
it?
saying.
Okay. Any other questions? We're talking about this after, by the way. I don't think I'm letting this shit go.
Okay.
Um,
That's lashings and a serious conversation in private. This is gonna be epic.
um, cause yeah, it
I mean, if we're gonna
has
just
to be
talk about it
something.
anyway, and you're gonna make me say it, yeah, I've heard that Utami might be WWE bound too.
Honest, you know what? My answer might surprise you. I wanted her so badly to be Stardom World Champion again, but it really hurt when I put two and two about a cervical hernia, like, that it's a serious neck thing. And while WWE can be grueling, maybe in a way it's better than Stardom. And like any kind of neck injury like that, you're on borrowed time.
Let me put it this
And
way:
if
I feel like the odds of Julia being WWE bound in 2024 is like 9 out of 10.
yeah,
Utami's like 5 or 6 out of 10. Like it's
I
not.
would go as far as say 7 or 8, honestly. I
Yeah,
would
like
be a
I
little
don't
higher
think
than you.
it's locked in at all, but I do think that there is a legitimate chance that it happens.
Look, she had a neck injury in her like mid to late 20s, which she's obviously still living through, like, being that young. If she wants to make her money now and be on the big stage now, like, I'm not going to begrudge her. I never worry about performers. Like, again, like I said on Twitter recently, I'm a bitter old fucking man. Like, this business has taken so much from me on so many fronts. I just want performers to be respected and get paid. Julia's able to main event a WrestleMania and get a fat payday. She fucking deserves it, especially because her English has come a long fucking way. Utami, I worry about more on that front, honestly.
Yeah,
Because here's the thing, and I'm just being truthful, as we should be about all of our faves, which is why they're our faves, because and I said this to you very early on, Ashton, and when you got what I meant, you agreed, so I know you're this way too. I don't do toxic positivity bullshit.
right.
I hate that shit. Utami isn't the best promo. Asuka can speak in her language because she has a lot of body language and she's very naturally charismatic. Utami has charisma too, but in a very different way that I don't know if is going to be
It's very
translatable to that
understated in a
audience.
way that might not translate to the U.S.
Exactly. Exactly. I worry about Utami if she makes the jump. I'll support her, of course I will, but I don't know if like that's going to be enough. Because if it's just I'm a really good worker, well, so was Saray by all accounts, and that didn't work. Now I do think Utami has more presence than her.
I'm glad that you said that
Of
because I
course.
was going to say something along those lines if you didn't.
Yeah, and I do think Utami has more upside than her overall. But still, like Utami's got to bring everything to the game.
I
Julia
think
is going to
Otami
make big fucking
appeals
money.
more in general to an American audience than Saray. I feel like Saray is very Joshi. You know, like she's just
Yeah,
like you can tell that Saray is a product of Joshi culture. Whereas
yeah,
Utami feels more like a Joshi who is kind of a product of more like that, like old school All Japan culture, which translates way better to WWE than just straight up Joshi culture. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Like, no, bro. Like, I appreciate you wanting to like be considerate of my feelings, sincere, because I know we joke around a lot, but you were considerate of my feelings. But I've heard the same rumblings, man. And
Like,
she went to see Shayna Baszler and
yeah,
Natalia, so I've
Natalia,
always
the
had it in
male
my
thing,
mind.
yeah.
I've
I
always had
think
it in my mind, like, oh, she might make the jump one
it's
day. But
funny
like,
because we have like 3 or 4 women in Stardom that do Kobashi tributes, and yet I feel like Utami carries on his spirit more than anyone.
oh, absolutely. And I will say this, and this is just another again, is this going to age well for John? Probably not. I think Julia's gonna make a lot of fucking money. I think Julia is gonna make a lot of fucking money in the US. I think that woman is ready to really reach the superstardom that I feel like a lot of us feel like she could reach. Because I do feel like her English is strong. She's got an amazing fucking look. She's a solid fucking performer. If anything that Stardom gave her, the woman that she was when she came into the wrestler she is now, she is so fucking complete now. I Julia is going to be a fascinating note in WWE history because either this is going to be a fumbled bag and they took
No,
inspiration from
I
Tony
don't
Khan,
think they're gonna fumble Julia. I think
or
I honestly like. I hate to bring up Hana Kimura in any context just because of the implications and it's all that. But at the same
yeah, of
time,
course,
I think that Hana was another one that would like if she would have come to WWE, she would have been a star no matter what, like Asuka. I think
yeah,
Julia is along those lines. I think that Julia, because of her look alone, because she looks the way she looks, and the fact that she is putting in the work now, like you can look the way you look and not try, and then maybe you could be a bag fumble, like you could fumble the bag yourself. But like
yeah,
she clearly has the work ethic. She's gonna be a fucking hit. She honestly, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if she skipped NXT. I wouldn't be surprised if they had her go straight to the main roster. And I wouldn't be surprised if she had a faster road to success than any of the previous Joshi that they've had.
yeah. I'm just gonna say it, and again, we're having a very sincere, very serious conversation. I have all the fucking respect, and I cannot overstate enough the respect I have for Asuka,
Yeah.
for what she's meant for women's wrestling, for what she meant for WWE. I will admit, early on in her career, I would roll my eyes sometimes when friends were like, "Oh, her NXT run was Hall of Fame worthy enough. She doesn't need to do anything else," because I wanted to see even more from her. But looking at her career in totality, my friends were 100% right. I mean, she is to me, and I'm saying all of this for a reason, she is the measuring stick to me
Yeah.
for Japanese women that come to America,
Yeah.
take a chance on themselves,
Yeah.
and win fucking big.
Yeah.
I
She
think Julia could surpass Asuka,
I agree. Yeah,
honestly.
that's what I'm saying. I
And
think
that's the
well
crazy
because we've
fucking
also got
thing.
to remember how long Asuka spent in NXT. She was there for a while. Like I mean, how
Yeah.
long was her NXT title run alone?
Wasn't it over a year?
I'm pretty
I feel
sure it
like
was like 400 plus days. Yeah, and like she didn't win that title as soon as she showed up. There were a few months there where she was in NXT before she won the title. So she was probably in NXT for like bare minimum year and a half, if not 2 years, before getting called up to the main roster. And then the first thing she did at a WrestleMania was tap out to Charlotte Flair.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
that yeah.
she had a huge ascent specifically in NXT. But if we include her WWE career as a whole and we count her reaching the pinnacle as winning a singles title on the main roster, I think Julia reaches that pinnacle faster than Asuka did.
Yeah.
I think
And
Julia
us
could reach
yeah.
that pinnacle within the first 2 years of her WWE career. I really do. Because again, I think
Yeah.
there, first of all, I would put the odds of her skipping NXT entirely, or at the very least spending less than 6 months in NXT, at like 65%.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a really
'Cause
because again, like she gets the show business aspect of pro wrestling more than at least Kylie and Io did, and maybe even almost as much as Asuka did.
yeah.
And with Asuka, they needed her in NXT because NXT was a touring brand at the time, and she was the face of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she was one of the draws that brought in money for the NXT brand to make it so that it was less in the red, you know?
Right. Right.
They wouldn't need that with Julia. Julia is free to do whatever the fuck they want her to do. So I really don't think that she would spend long in NXT, if any time at all. And there's literally a wide open storyline on SmackDown right now that she could get inserted into the way that fucking Solo Sikoa got inserted into the bloodline. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
kick Bailey out and bring in Julia and be like, oh, Damage Control is a Joshi faction now. Fuck you.
And I'm so glad you brought that up to kind of punctuate your point because I don't want to like belabor this, but I am enjoying this conversation. I didn't even know like I had it in me because I'm really so drained from World's End. But where Utami especially because I feel like Julia, even if we were still in the Vinci years, probably would have landed on her feet just because she's got that aura about her.
Yeah.
Where
I
Utami,
think if we were still in the Vince years, I wouldn't be this optimistic about her outlook, but I would still say, like, the cream rises to the top. She'll persevere and she'll make it. The reason that I'm this optimistic is because this is the first Joshi signing in the Triple H era where he's in control not only of the NXT, which he oversees, but of the main roster.
and that's what I was gonna kinda gesture at, partner, is, like, especially for Utami, because Julia, we've said enough, I'm not worried about her at all. If
Yeah.
Utami jumps ship, she's coming at the right time because the culture, I think, has changed positively for
Yes.
her. I
Yes.
mean, because in the Vince years, he didn't even know that people found Asian women attractive. Like, we remember that whole story about Gail Kim and everything. That was a fucking
Yeah.
Jesus
And now,
Christ.
like, I almost feel like another thing, like almost like subconsciously for me, that makes me feel like Julia would skip NXT. It would be Triple H protecting her from Sean, because look at
Yeah.
what Sean did to Saray.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Exactly.
schoolgirl shit. Like, come on.
And that's I think that's why I have so much misgiving about Sean in NXT because he clearly has a little bit of Vince in him and not in a good way.
Yeah.
But with Triple H, like you could say, just the damage control alone shows you how the culture has changed for
Yeah.
Joshi in America, at least as far as WWE goes.
Yeah.
Utami wouldn't be caricatured. She wouldn't be stereotyped. I really do think she would just be presented honestly, and that could be really interesting. And Julia, I don't know how you debut her, but I really feel like you have no bad options for the most part, just because again she is who she is.
I feel
So yeah,
like, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, of course.
I feel like Julia would show up, instantly be an over baby face, but it would not take long for her to be the top female heel on her brand, whatever brand that is. Utami, I feel like would take a while. I feel like she would show up, she would not be over for a while, but it would be like when she would get over eventually, it would be that like Daniel Bryan type, like the correct kind of over where it's like evergreen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she
Ex
wouldn't get over, but like once people started to like get it with her and start to like really like fully kind of understand her as a character and as a worker and like know what to expect from her matches, it's to the moon with her, you know?
100%. 100%.
Whereas with
Um,
Julia, there would be that instant spark of, oh my God, Julia, she's so cool. She's so hot. She's such a star. Her moves look so like stiff and they hit so hard. This is awesome. But then like her personality would come out and people would be like, oh, she's such a bitch.
yeah. Wow, way to channel your mom there,
Yeah.
actually.
And yeah,
Um,
so, but then it would be like on the other side of that, it would be, God, she's our bitch.
yeah. So, just one more thing I do wanna say, not even about Julia or Tommy, but where this kind of sub-conversation came from, and that was just me saying, just offhandedly, that I just feel like so many shakeups are coming in 2024.
Yeah. Dude,
Okada could still
I was
happen.
just gonna
I
say,
mean,
dude, WWE's gonna fuck around and sign Andrade, Okada, and Julia in 2024.
and maybe Utami
And
for,
maybe
like, 4
Utami
people.
too. Holy
Maybe
fuck.
yeah. Dude,
They just keep winning. What the fuck?
bro, I finally figured out what WWE is in DBZ language. They really are Majin Buu because no matter which fighter you send out, like, oh, this is the one, Ultimate Gohan. Oh no, it's gonna be Vegito. They just keep getting absorbed. Like, oh, but we've got AEW. Oh, but Stardom's doing really well. Oh, thanks for the extra talent farms, fuckwads.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Well, and that dude, that's
Dude,
the thing though, is that there's a rumor now that that WWE and Stardom might just straight up start working together.
yeah, working together. Dude, I always treat those headlines as sus as hell. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm that guy that's just like, there is no working together. They're like, oh, we're going to give you what you need. We'll do some collaborative shows, sure. But when the iron's hot, we're going to take the talents and make them exclusive to WWE. You're just our talent farm. Like, I'm very distrusting. I've
Let
got a
me
very
ask you a
DTA
question though,
attitude.
John. This is a real genuine question.
Sure.
Given the downturn in attendance this year for Stardom,
Yes.
and given the aging main event scene in Stardom, if Julia leaves, it's like Mayu is, I think, 30 at this point. Tam is in her mid 30s. Mina is in her mid 30s. Shooty is in her late 30s. Like, it's, they're getting up there as far as the main event scene of Stardom, right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, the two women that are competing for the red belt are not very old, but my point is, would it even be a bad thing for Stardom if WWE just said, "You're our talent farm now. We're gonna pay for you to run shows. We're gonna take a portion of that profit for ourselves. We're gonna pay for your wrestlers' contracts, and when somebody becomes a big enough star that we want them for ourselves, we're just gonna take them." Like, is that even really all that bad of a thing for Stardom, considering how much turnover Stardom already has to begin with?
Okay. So I'm going to answer you honestly because you asked me a very sincere question, a very substantive one. And this is not a cop out, I am going to answer you, but I do just want to say, I think so much of that is in large part what Stardom's motivations are as a company. And really, I should say Bushiroad's motivations for having Stardom, in their kind of portfolio, if you want to say. But if I was answering, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to like disregard it. I do think there is a lot of upside there to have that financial protection, to have that
Right.
backing,
I'm not trying to
and
say
then you
it's
get the
all
veteran.
upside, but I do think that it's
Right.
more upside than downside for Stardom.
And see, I don't know, man. Because this is always the thing where it's like, I just worry that when you provide that much, right, you want more skin in the game. You wanna be able to dictate more how things are done. And then Stardom would just become an offshoot of the broader WWE product.
Right.
Now, that may not necessarily be a bad thing if they would allow it enough autonomy creatively
Right.
to still look and feel like Stardom.
Yeah.
But how long does that really last? You and I have watched wrestling collectively for decades when you put our experience together. We've seen companies that start out so promising and they always have that wayward moment. That's what actually kind of scared me about Stardom this year when you're seeing the
Right.
injuries and then Julia's comments. It's like, oh God, is the bloom off the rose? Because it always fucking happens. Maybe WWE would buy them some time, but I just can't help but feel like then Triple H would make a call one day and be like, "Oh, I saw your red belt matchup. I'd prefer if this person went over," and they start overreaching, and, like, that's why I hate fucking monopolies
Yeah.
because I like Stardom to have their like, you asked a very legitimate question, and you make very salient points. I just think it's my pride and just the way that I see the world that I'm like, autonomy over everything, and I
Right.
just wouldn't want to see Stardom give that up.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's because again, you're right. You gotta look at practical problems with practical solutions. They had a rough year this year. They just is it worth your freedom? I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
I think in like a perfect world, it would be like a talent sharing agreement where WWE
Yes.
would send like some green, less trained, high ceiling NXT women over to Stardom to get trained, to help them, fill out the roster, put on some shows, learn the ropes, that kind of thing. And Stardom would send some of their women over to WWE to get featured more and get that bigger platform. And that would kind of be the agreement. Like, WWE's like, okay, we'll trade you our big platform for your awesome training. Like, that's the trade off. And that to me is like the ultimate win win, because then WWE is getting better trained women. They're investing in their future while also getting awesome main events from women that aren't even on their roster, but they would also be competing with women that are on their roster. So we would get stuff like, say, for example, Bianca Belair versus Saya Kamitani. Nobody complains about that main event for a pay per view or a SmackDown or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck. That match would be amazing. It would slap, and Kamitani gets experience working in front of an unfamiliar crowd, which is also good for her and Stardom. Bianca gets a great match. She gets to pad out her resume. WWE gets to send their less experienced women over to get trained by, I would argue, the best female wrestler training program in the world right now, other than maybe Storm Academy, which I think closed its doors a few years ago, actually. So now I can just say it's the best in the world. And like,
Yeah.
I just see all upside in that kind of agreement. I just don't know if both sides would even want to do that.
You know what, bro? I feel like Abel, for the most part, because he said WWE specifically, and I get why, because we've been so WWE focused, but I think he really expressed my problem with it. I really so here's ultimately where I come down, because I think Abel honestly helped me figure it out.
Thanks, Abel. You're the best.
I, of course, love you, Abel, so much. That's so obvious. Um, but given all the points you laid out at the beginning, like your initial remarks, I begrudgingly concede, and here's why. Because if you're Stardom, you have to understand that you're either a monopoly or you're nothing. You just get absorbed by the monopoly. And when you've got AEW being like, oh, maybe kind of looking at Megan Bain, for instance. Megan Bain might be AEW bound. Mariah went to AEW, which that was heartbreaking. You're gonna have people leave. You never know if a Hanan may want to leave, depending on what kind of star she becomes.
That
Azumi the
broke
same
my
way.
heart, you saying that.
Dude, I know. But it's true, right? Because we don't know. And if I'm Stardom and I live in a world where capitalism is the norm, monopolies are the norm, I mean, they shouldn't be. It should literally be against the law. But when's the law ever fucking enforced against rich people? They create the law. Therefore, it's never going to be enforced against them because they made it. Um, you eat while you can. And so if I'm Stardom, yeah, I take the money, I make the agreement because what's the alternative? I try and stand on my own and the monopolies eat at me anyway. So really, your question depresses me, not because you said anything wrong or you didn't make any salient points, quite the contrary, but because we live in a world where we have to worry about monopolies and everything else. Like Stardom can't just have their autonomy. That's ridiculous. Because to say that they can have it means that they're not people breathing down their neck or nibbling at their heels, which they obviously are. Triple H, and I'm gonna be real. Triple H can try and play coy and be like, oh, I've only watched Joshi recently and act like he doesn't really know much about Julia. Yes, the fuck you do. Because if you don't, you hire people that do and they report back to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry. Like if people
That's
are
just
thinking
him
my
doing his job. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, no, because that's the name of the game, right? You're a monopoly because you never allow anybody to grow to a level that you find threatening. And if I'm Triple H and I'm looking at AEW, I'm laughing my fucking ass off. Like he once called them a pissant company, and like Hunter, I guess the nose really does know, because Jesus fucking Christ. Um,
so true.
but yeah, I mean, if I'm Stardom and I know what I'm up against, why fucking bother? I'll take my fucking money. I'll have security, and I'd rather have the protection of the monopoly than have no backing and be vulnerable to, a genuine monopoly and an aspiring monopoly in AEW. So yeah, yeah, I concede. It's depressing. I fucking hate it. I hate global capitalism, but it is what it is. God, it sucks.
I like the talent sharing agreement more than the monopoly.
Well, I feel like you can't have one without the other ultimately. That's kind of my thing. Like, sure, you could do the talent sharing, but ultimately, that's always going to be an asymmetrical relationship. So, you know,
Well,
it's
right,
just, yeah.
because like one company is getting people who aren't even good yet, and the other company's getting your stars.
Yeah.
I get that. I understand that, but like you're sending your stars over there temporarily. It's not like you're sending them over there permanently, and then they come back with bigger names and they bring more eyes to your product. That's what I mean when I say like talent sharing. I don't. That's to me that's like more of a temporary setup where it's like, maybe for like 6 months or 3 months even or 4 months, you send two or three of your or even one or two of your talents over there, and they send one or two of theirs over to you, and it's like a talent swap, and it's like a temporary setup that you're using to train some of their shitters up and take advantage of their platform to get more eyes on your people and bring eyes back to your product when they come back to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it,
Um,
but I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe that's just me being an idealist.
I think there's a bit of idealism in there because I just always feel like there's always a shadiness and a seediness that goes on. Like, oh yeah, we'll give him back, and then they really like him, and then they just poach him. I mean, hell, Rossi poached Ice Ribbon. Couldn't WWE poach Stardom? I mean, they're the big shark here. So yeah, but listen, let's put a pin in this because Super Blue actually did have a couple questions. I think only Super Blue. So I would honestly just close the gate after we answer his questions because it's really getting late now. It's like almost 2:45 here. So I'm gonna go up a little bit. I think the first question that Super Blue asked after the Monet question was, with the Strong Tag and IWGP Tag titles merging, what should happen to the Eddie and Julia Strong titles? Get rid of them? I really don't know, honestly, Super Blue. I feel like New Japan has too many titles to begin with. So if you get rid of two, is that really so bad? I want the Intercontinental title back. I've been very clear about that. So yeah, I just say get rid of them. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I can't imagine they're going to get rid of the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship just because that's the world title of that brand.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
think they're going to get rid of the New Japan Strong Women's Championship either because that's the women's championship of New Japan Strong. And it seems like they invented that title so that Mercedes could be the champion of a New Japan brand without having to work Japan as much.
right,
Like that, I feel like that's the whole point of that title was because they wanted to slap that thing on Mercedes and let her work the California area, like work all those New Japan Strong shows that they do, so that she could be the champion of New Japan's women's division without having to work over in the country of Japan. Like that to me, that's the
right.
whole point of it. That's why they put that on her, and that's why they took the IWGP Women's Championship off of her and put that title on her, or wanted to put that title on her before her injury.
Yeah.
But then,
Um,
the injury happened, and shit happens. So they're gonna want to put the title back on her as soon as she's back healthy, which is what I've been saying.
right.
And like the
Um,
IWGP, if anything, they might get rid of the IWGP Women's Championship because I think that was invented for her. And if the New Japan Strong Women's Championship is for her as well, there's no reason in having two titles for one woman when she's only going to hold one at a time, and it's going to be the more convenient one for her, which is the New Japan Strong one. So I'm guessing if either one of those titles is going to get dissolved, it's going to be the IWGP Women's, which is the one that Mayu holds right now.
yeah, I feel bad for Maya, man. I genuinely think she wanted to do more with that title than she got to
She
do,
didn't
and
even
it's
get a
like
defense on Dream Queendom, did she?
I don't think she did.
Oh my god. Well,
They
I think she's defending against Shuri on the 3rd or the 4th of this coming month.
well, fourth would be Wrestle Kingdom, so
Well, it's not going to be at Wrestle Kingdom though, because Stardom doesn't have a Wrestle Kingdom appearance at all. It would be on the Stardom show before Wrestle Kingdom.
man, Ghetto, you fucking suck.
Yeah,
Um, anyway, let's go back to Super Blue's questions because I think he had two other ones if I remember correctly. Do you think Jericho will get wrote off of TV next week? No,
no,
no, it's fucking Tony Khan. And he doesn't give a shit. Um, and then he said, "Who should beat Eddie for the Continental title?"
for the
Maybe Jay
continued
White,
world
honestly.
title.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know what he meant. I didn't want to throw it in his face, but yeah, the Continental title.
I just
I
I'm
just
the asshole who throws things in people's faces.
oh, I'm an asshole too. We'll be assholes together. But yeah, I just Jay White probably. I mean, because I really don't know what they want to do with the dude anymore. So
Let's see, Eddie Kingston, Ring of Honor, babyface. You know what? This is fucking hilarious because he should be the next world champion. But I'm gonna say Swerve.
damn. People did point out that the last person most recently that Joe did quote unquote protect MJF from was Swerve when Swerve and MJF had their backstage thing, and then Joe kind of stared at Swerve. So it's like, oh, they were already planting seeds, but I'm like, isn't Swerve supposed to be a heel unless you're
Yeah,
turning him babyface? Which, like, what? Cool, but like, what are we doing?
yeah.
Um, apparently AEW has already taken down live footage of the Jericho chants and boos. Safest company on earth, everybody.
Oh, they're gonna make everyone in that crowd sign an NDA.
Oh, Okay, I wanna go home. I'm closing the gate, guys, because we had an extended Josie discussion. I know that's kinda cheating some people a bit, and I apologize, but you know what? I feel like we answered a good bit of questions. High spots and low shots. Low shot is AEW for me, but no, I've gotta be serious.
Well, I mean,
A
low
low sh
shot's got to be MJF, right?
I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, he lost his title and the only
His
friend that he actually
best
committed to being a big
friend.
force. Yeah, get over it. Suck it up, life happens. Who's your low shot?
Oh, I was also picking MJF. He had the worst week ever, and it's hilarious.
I'm glad we're sharing because that makes everything so much easier. You know what, dude? High spot for me is Queen's Quest with emphasis on Saya Kamitani because she had the spot of the fucking day today with the Frankensteiner we watched on Stardom Recap.
That was
I don't
awesome.
even care. Yeah, I don't even care if it's beyond the pale of this week, which I don't even think it is, because I think that was the 24th show. I'm picking it. Kamitani is my high spot, 100%. And Queen's Quest more broadly, but again, emphasis on Kamitani, which should be a huge compliment because Utami's the leader of Queen's Quest, and I love her, but Kamitani was fucking awesome, so she's my high spot. Who are you picking?
My high spot's Christian Cage because he won after losing because his son decided to be loyal for once.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. For a while, I'm like, well, no wonder the dinosaurs went extinct. I mean, he was even a worse dinosaur to me than Littlefoot. I fucking hate Littlefoot so much.
He is a
Um,
little mark.
yeah, but he got his shit together and he obeyed his father, and I think that's important because when your son isn't already naturally perfect, like Abel, for instance, you have to be a stern father. So many sons are disappointments. I mean, maybe take accountability and realize you're the problem. Wow, I've probably set the mental health back on so many people, but
Your son is brilliant because he gave his high spot to Samoans named Joe for running the world.
bro, I gotta show you this tweet that I saw. I hope I didn't click out of it because I had to. Oh God, I'm looking right at it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I just kind of want to post it in the Discord, honestly. But I'm happy for a lot of wrestling fans tonight. You know, again, and if you enjoy World's End and if you enjoy what's happening, again, I always say, good. Wrestling's meant to be enjoyed. I have a very bleak outlook on the business at present. But I need to post this because this one fan, honestly, this fan is goals, low key, finding the positive in everything. I'm just gonna post this. But yeah, so your high spot's Christian Cage. I already said my high spot's Kamitani. So we can, yeah, and that's the reason I didn't want to read the tweet out loud, as you'll see when you look at it. But
Wow. Just
that part
wow.
that part I'm gonna change it to people where he's like fat people on top and we're wheezing. That ending took me out. I'm like, oh oh God, Scott Steiner is like rolling over in his grave and he's not even dead.
Wait, he kept going though. He kept going. He said double chin dominance. If your doctor isn't concerned about your weight no matter what you see them for, fuck out of here. The pizza place down the street knows us by name, motherfucker. We get winded going upstairs, always adjusting pants so our ass cracks don't show. Real shit. Holy shit.
I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm one of you. I have the cardio that you all do. Take me. Oh God. Oh God. I'm sorry. I just wanted to be a part of it. I'm sorry. Um.
Oh,
So no,
that's funny.
that was honestly my favorite reaction to World's End by far. That and the crowd raining on Jericho because fuck Chris Jericho forever. Um. And Cliff is on board. He's like, one thing I'll say that I enjoyed though, they have one fine ass world champion now, a real man. Fuck you, Silas Young. Um,
And fuck
because
you,
real people
Maxwell.
remember. But what was that?
I said, and fuck you, Maxwell.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. I don't even know what anything is anymore. I need to go to bed or something, but I still need to stay up with this beautiful face over here so that we can watch season finale to What If.
Oh, baby, let's see what Sinister Strange has been recruiting everyone for.
Nothing as sinister as my face, though. So
Whoa.
with that said, yes. With
Or
that
as Joey
said,
Lawrence would say, whoa.
well, maybe Joey Lawrence. Wait, is that Friends?
No.
Who? No? Well, whoever he is, he can
That
fuck
was
off.
Blossom.
But yeah, okay. Um, this has been TwitWoW, I guess maybe it was something. It was
No, it
TwitWoW.
was well.
The 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 best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. Please like the video as you file out, subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And guys, this is it. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Year-end awards. Let's see what I shoehorned in for my non-pay-per-view show of the year. But I'm actually really proud of my awards. One crazy Saturday, and I got most of it done. I really think a lot of my picks you guys are gonna enjoy, and I've got some rants coming for you guys. I
Ooh,
promise.
baby.
Yeah, I've got a lot of rage that I didn't realize I had that I need to work out. So I'm gonna do it here because, as some feminists have said, men will do literally anything except go to therapy. So yeah, be sure to join us for our year-end awards tomorrow at 8, where I work through my stuff, and I'm always very curious to hear Ashton's awards because he's a very sensible, wholesome being. So it's gonna be a fun time, a nice little contrast
That's
between the
so
two of
nice
us.
of you to say. Thank you.
Well, it's the truth. It's never that hard to speak. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. Um If you couldn't tell, Super Blue, to be clear, that was me laughing at that statement. I don't want any ambiguity about it. I would have pointed if we actually did a We're a Webcam podcast just to make it extra clear. That's absurd. That's actually insultingly absurd. But sure, sure. Um, but yeah, all of our awards from worst to best. Why? Because we once aspired to be a positivity podcast until the wrestling business was like, no. So, yeah, we're just gonna do worst to best because we still found rays of light on these cloudy days, and I'm very curious what our collective awards will be. I guarantee you we probably share some, we do every year, and you guys could check it out. And, I know people in our chat, they usually share who they would have picked, so I'm very curious what you guys think, where you agree with us, where you disagree. And yeah, let's just get all of our faces together and do this. So again, that's tomorrow at 8. That's the big thing I want to plug because it's the final commentary for 2023. I'm not even looking at anything else. We'll cross that bridge when 2024 happens. So we'll see you guys then. Be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in and peace out.